You hit record already?
We all set? I'm not hearing him.
We're good? Okay, that's good.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the September 12th meeting of the Sturbridge Conservation Commission. If you are joining us on cable access television and would like to participate in tonight's meeting, please use the following link: https meet.goto.com/town-of-sturbridge/conservation. You can also call in using your phone on the following number: 1-646-749-3122, followed by an access code which is 819-169-093. Okay? I'm calling the meeting to order, and we have some, we'll start right off with attendance.
Eric Gaspar, present.
Carsten Stuber present.
Ed Goodwin present. And
No.
Flo, are you present? Flo?
No. He's present.
She's muted.
He's muted.
She probably muted herself.
A minute ago, maybe she stepped away for a moment.
He probably has
Had her camera up a
a
moment ago.
child from.
What?
Maybe a child from.
Oh, yeah, that's why she's home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is present,
All right.
regardless, you have a quorum.
All right, we have a quorum. We'll move on. Yeah, go ahead and read that.
Okay. In the interest of saving time, the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body or resource area, and/or within the 200-foot buffer zone to a wetland, water body or resource area in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and associated regulations, and the Town of Sturbridge Wetland Bylaws and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad prior to opening the first hearing for each project. The applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet of the subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertisement. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. If any of the visitors have not legibly signed in yet, please do. Also, if any visitors are recording this meeting, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura said she cannot hear anything.
All right, we'll start with the public hearings. We are
Do you want to try using her phone? We can get everybody set up.
yeah.
So we can get everybody set up for the first one while we're working on that.
Well, we can start the public hearings. I don't think there's any reason to
Yeah.
hold them off. We are at 58 Streeter Road, request for determination of applicability, existing single-family home. Jack Corman. All right. Sounds like somebody's dying.
Oh, I'll take those. Thank you.
And you have the one from the newspaper?
Just for the record, Ed, I have the proof of legal ad and a butter notification for this hearing.
Yeah, this is a project, we're gonna put 2 additions on a house.
Name and address for the record.
Stephen Pfeiffer, Pfeiffer, 33 Hollow Road, Brimfield.
All right. Can we bring the project up? We have a... All right.
Is an addition to the side of the house.
There's a little,
We're really high-tech here.
Okay,
Not too high tech if our audio's not working right.
how do I work this?
there should be a red dot. Oh, there you are.
There it is. This is one of the additions here.
Yeah.
To the side of the house, it's 18 by 22. The other addition is here off the kitchen, 14 by 14. We're proposing to put a line of wattles right here around the house and out towards the street where we'll enter with the construction vehicles.
Eric, you were with us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the project looks pretty straightforward. The only thing I wanted to ask about is, as I was reading through your write-up and your narrative, you referenced that the spoils pile was gonna be put inside of the 100-foot of the resource area. Do we need to concern ourselves with that, Lauren, as a practical matter, since it's temporary by nature? Because since it's inside the 100-foot, would DEP have to get involved with this project?
They would not, no.
They would not. So even
Due to
though
the
they're declaring
proximity and the
something,
amount of disturbance.
okay, and it's because it's coming out, right? Okay, all right. No, I think it's a pretty straightforward project. Just to confirm, the larger addition is 2 stories. The smaller addition is 1 story. The one that's coming off the kitchen.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. No other questions there.
Preston?
It's fine.
I don't have any problems with either. Laura? You good? All right.
And just one correction on mine is a 3-year permit, not
Okay. Go ahead. Anybody in the audience like to speak to this project? Seeing none?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Yep. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. And Laura, we
We'll
can't get,
just,
so, but we're all
okay,
set.
we have 3
Can she
people.
go into the chat and vote, or is that not proper?
Oh, she'd have to
if she
get on
can hear
her
us.
phone.
I don't know if we can.
No, I think that it's more on the chat.
Yeah, let's not,
Okay.
you know.
I mean, we'll be fine anyway. So,
Everybody. You want me
Eric, would
wanna
you like
try
to
to
make
bring
a?
it
yeah.
up on
So with
regular?
regards to the project
you
at
plugged
58
in?
Streeter Road, I'd like to make a motion to make a positive determination with a positive number 3. You said, Lauren,
Negative
or
determination.
negative determination,
Negative is
negative 3. Right?
I didn't identify the numbers on here, but
Okay, that's fine. And with the notations that were made in the agent's detailed agenda, with prior commencement to any activity, the applicant will notify the commission and the agent, put a sign with the Sturbridge Conservation Commission file number, and then upon completion of the work, shall request final inspection.
All right, do you have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stüber in favor?
Ed Gooder in favor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. We are at 610. 1 Old Sturbridge Village Road. Notice of intent to raise and rebuild the hoss barn with associated site work, including tree removal, DEP file number, and you said we had one?
There's not a DEP file number for this project.
Lauren, what microphone are you using?
The only one that's showing up, and I have this one muted, but keep going back and forth with it, trying to figure
So it
out
doesn't need one?
the microphone.
What?
Doesn't need.
Isn't there a room microphone that we should be
There
using,
is
not her,
one.
not
It
her
has to have
desktop?
one before we go.
No?
There is that one set of microphones that, if you do the.
Right, but for the
three
people
dots
online,
for
You go on the microphone.
Are they on?
does it? Okay.
Okay, so Flo is there, but she can't hear us.
No. Yeah, the volume, the. Just, there's
If
this,
you're typing, they just can't hear us.
there's a set of microphones on the screen, which is
The
different.
speakers are working. I
The
just checked.
speakers, okay.
But you turned it up to 87, that should be plenty. Is that what I saw?
Well, the floor's talking now, but.
Flo, do you hear us?
Laura, can you hear us?
It's not.
I heard noise coming from your
Oh,
computer.
You got a name?
there's a lot of people on.
All right, we'll continue on with Old Sturbridge Village. Gentlemen, how you doing?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Don Frederick from Sherman and Frederick Land Surveying Engineering in Palmer. This is Bill Gaudette from Old Sturbridge Village.
Director of Facilities.
As you mentioned, no DEP file number yet, despite having filed this towards the end of July. Several attempts to get one from them, but we still haven't got one. So appreciate you still going through the hearing and obviously waiting for
Yeah, no.
DEP.
Is there anything you want to bring us? You had some changes that you that you made, right?
Well, if we can get the plan up, I can use your high technology and go through the project for you.
Oh, God.
So, up there now is the existing conditions plan. Maybe I can use it.
The red dot.
You see the red dot? Okay, there it is. So the existing barn is here.
Yeah.
There's a bordering vegetated wetland and a perennial stream here, so we have the 100-foot buffer in Rivers area. And we also have the 200-foot buffer in Rivers area, just to the outside of the barn. On the second page, Lauren, if you don't mind. Again, same thing. Jurisdictional area, buffer zone in the Rivers area, so we're constructing basically a new barn on the existing barn and current overhang footprint with an extension to the southwest of an additional overhang. A proposed hay storage facility here, which is just on the line of 200-foot buffer and riparian zone. Also, some composting area in this area through here. And we're also doing mitigation. There is currently storage of composting here, and that area will be removed, loam and seeded and allowed to revegetate, since it is so close to the jurisdictional area and within the 100-foot riparian zone. There is no floodplain associated with the work area. As far as the riverfront goes, as you know, Old Sturbridge Village has approximately 392 acres of property with a rough conservative estimate of 20 acres of rivers protection area within this stream and the Quinnebog River. So we're providing a total of 5,100 square feet of mitigation. New work is approximately 2,300 square feet. There's currently about 17,500 square feet of degraded area within this area already. There's gravel roads leading up to and through here. So we qualify for redevelopment because of the degraded area that existed in the rivers area previously. We're setting, the new barn is going to be at or further away from the 100-foot riparian area. We are providing an improvement within the inner riparian area by doing the mitigation of the current composting area and allowing that to return to its natural state. So in overall, there's less disturbance within the rivers area, so we think we do meet the performance standards for the rivers area. There's no natural heritage areas within this area. We are not providing any new point source discharge. We are connecting to an existing pipe from the barn for the gutter system that will be on the new building. And also your 500-foot buffer with 8% slopes. We are a little greater than 8% where this is going. However, that area flows away from the jurisdictional area, so we don't see that that would cause a problem with the jurisdictional area. Add anything
All right,
about the trees and stuff?
No questions, I guess. Did DEP give you any idea whether or not the issue?
I sent one email to,
Yeah.
I can't remember, Kimberly Roth. She said she forwarded it to the assigned analyst. I sent another email today, if I could get the assigned analyst email and/or response, because we have our meeting tonight, and I heard nothing back from them.
So as a practical matter, if you're going to be requesting it to continuance, you would want that till the next meeting.
Yeah.
Correct, yep.
Yep.
Any questions? There were trees that were to be marked, be taken down?
Yes.
Have they been marked?
I'll check with Bob. I believe he already marked them, but I can find out in the morning.
Did the arborist submit?
The arborist submitted, yeah, to Lauren.
He did? Joe
Yes.
submitted?
We still need a replanting plan, and I did talk about that with Joe the other day. That I think that could be conditioned, that prior to any site work, while they're undergoing any other permits and getting everything together, that they could work on the replanting plan that would then be approved prior to the okay for start of construction. There are a significant amount of trees that are being removed, including some invasive thickets, so I think that's opportunity. While this does not meet the qualifications under a restoration project, I somewhat view it as restoration, since the manure piles would be coming out from the jurisdictional area and going into an actual,
Another 20 feet
Controlled.
across the road.
but a controlled area, and,
We're keeping
Having-
it farther away from the brook.
Yeah.
We're trying to move everything farther away.
and then
Forgive my
also
sarcasm.
That's okay.
removal of the invasives in that
Yeah.
area. So, again, while it does not meet the standards under restoration, we could look at this as an enhancement for that particular area, and make up for some loss, but there's definitely opportunities for plenty of replanting in that area that could be respectful of the transmission lines, of the slope, of the school, of the barn.
The whole thing, yeah.
Exactly.
When we do take the trees down, well, if we're allowed to take trees down, whatever growth is there, we're gonna let it regrow. So we're just taking out trees, but there's smaller ones there that are growing, we plan on leaving those. We're not clearing the whole thing completely. We're just taking the big ones that are hazardous, that we just hate to spend all this money on this large complex, and a lot of the trees are not very healthy, and they're only alive at the top 15 feet. So we're just trying to better that area so it can regrow and protect the building at the same time.
Okay. So you're gonna have a crawl space on this? The
A what?
entire- A crawl space on this entire,
No, it's a slab.
it's a slab, you're pouring a slab for
Yeah.
it?
Not the whole thing inside is gonna be a slab. The stalls themselves will be some type of gravel and clay or something like that, or
I'm not sure exactly, but the only concrete is going to be the utility room, where the electrical and plumbing comes in.
Yeah.
And then a row in the front, so if they take the horses out and they want to wash them or something like that, that's it. But the whole thing is not a slab. It's a 4-foot frost wall.
What kind of construction is it?
It's going to be just regular stick construction with a metal roof.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions?
Nope.
Or would you like a continuation?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until October 3rd, is it?
Yes.
Second.
October 2nd? Oh, you
No,
second
no,
the
I
motion?
second the motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Tillman in favor?
Carson Stuba in favor?
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay.
Is there a time for the continuance? I know you were talking about continuances prior.
We don't have a time yet, that agenda's not.
Okay, so it would be on the agenda, though?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It'll be at 6 PM or later.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a nice evening.
Thanks, you too.
We are now at 469A Main Street. Notice of intent, construction of a new gravel trail and pedestrian walk. DP file number, none to be seen, huh?
Real quick, I just want to see, Floor, can you hear us now?
Can you hear us?
San Germano in favor.
Oh,
Okay.
Welcome.
well, we're gonna say that she was not participating until now.
Right,
if that-
yes.
yeah, for the record.
There we go. Just
How you
needed
doing,
a
Flora?
tweaking of the wire.
Just wanted to mention that I'm connected.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me, Lauren?
Yep.
Yes.
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
No?
Ah.
Well, you can watch.
Whatever Bruce just did, it did make a difference.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. She can hear, it just seems like there's a extreme lag.
It's a bit of a delay.
Oh, you sent them.
There is a big delay.
I mean, yeah, but, I mean, I already checked them all,
Okay.
but yes. Just, we do have proof of legal advertisement and a butter notifications for this hearing, just so.
Bruce is coming out
I
again?
think they can hear, it's just a delay.
Yeah, it's too loud, though. Can you turn the incoming down? Try about 50.
Well, it was
It's
higher
just up
than,
at 50.
Okay, yeah, 35 then. Okay, good, let's try that.
Should we ask
Lady?
Flora to say something and wait 35 seconds? I'm just asking if we should ask Flora to
There's a
say
big delay, but she
something
can
and
hear.
wait 35 seconds.
the delay.
That's the delay.
Yeah. You'd like to introduce yourselves and,
I'm Tom Chamberlain, member of the Trails Committee.
Val Locker with Ty and Bond.
And Aaron Sabs with Ty and Bond.
all right. We got a slide to put up? We do.
So as a general overview, we're here before the commission tonight to seek approval of the placement of a trail with some boardwalks across wetlands and a bridge over the Quinnebog River connecting 501 Main Street, which is the public parking lot the town recently completed, to the Riverlands. And we've been, the commission has previously approved a access permit for the soil borings that we needed to have done for some of the work. And we're here tonight to present the full project before the commission.
So That's it right there, right?
I'm gonna move this guy.
It's if you'd like a little, oh, there we go. So as Tom mentioned, the 501 Main Street parking lot is just off the screen here. There's a wetland that's shown delineated in this location, so Aaron, it might actually be, if you could skip ahead a couple slides to the proposed. Yeah, this one is probably the best. So you can see the proposed boardwalk locations are shown crossing the wetland locations there and there. One little hiccup that we ran into was when redelineating these for our site visit, we located a third wetland, an isolated wetland that's located sort of right about there. So I think we plan to revise the alignment to avoid that, and I think the trail will sort of cut a little tighter, a little sharper radius there, to avoid that isolated wetland location there. And then you can see there is the proposed pedestrian bridge will be located about that location, which is just to the west of the National Grid easement. The overhead electrical lines cross the river here. We're proposing to utilize that existing cleared easement for access during construction. So there will be timber matting placed along that easement for access to be used during construction. The prefabricated bridge itself, we've spoken with one manufacturer, Contec, who we're proposing to use as the basis of design. They plan on providing the bridge in 4 sections, delivering it in 4 sections, splicing it together on the bank, and then there will only be one pick. It'll be placed as a single piece over the bridge. So we're showing the abutments on the north side and the south side. As far as trail work on the south side, we're proposing improvements to the existing Riverwalk trail from the east to the bridge itself, where the trail will be regraded to provide a ADA accessible slope on the existing trail. Or on the trail will match the existing. It'll just be regraded. It'll still be the same half-inch minus Sturbridge Trails Committee's standard gravel. To the west of the proposed bridge location, we're proposing to maintain the existing grades, but just repair the trail. There's some significant rutting through this area, so it'll just be new gravel placed along the existing trail. Is there anything else specific you'd like to discuss as far as the design goes?
Lauren, you have any questions?
2 actually. Who technically owns the property of the river or manages that? Is it the town? It's
The 469A.
well, where are the property lines? Because it looks like the property lines stop at the river, right?
Right.
Is an Army Corps involved in that, or no? No?
This is above the Army Corps flowing,
Oh, okay.
just above, but above.
Okay. I know Army Corps does have some questions. They haven't relayed their questions because I said there was going to be some changes as well. So I just wanted to, in preparation, if we knew if that's.
Yeah, we can.
I know that I'm fairly certain the town is responsible for the dam that's further up. But I don't know where. I just want to confirm the jurisdiction and that it's not another party that needs to be brought into this as a property owner technically for the river. So if we can just confirm that.
Okay.
My other question was regarding the first part of phase 1 of this project with the soil borings. I know that you weren't able to fully complete them. But at this point, are you is that project done, that we could file a certificate of compliance for that?
Yes, we plan to file the RCOC, prior to.
Probably next week or the week
Okay,
after.
yeah. And yes, speaking of that, that previous NOI submission, we did complete borings, what we called boring 1 as part of that submission, which was just south of the 501 Main Street, and then a boring at the proposed southern abutment. We were unable to complete the boring at the proposed north abutment location. We still plan to do that as like during construction of the actual project itself. Once the access is provided, the contractor will install the timber matting, and we'll utilize that to do that final boring.
But there's no indication that would say that the borings would come back concerning and all of a sudden we have to
No,
rethink? Okay.
no, yeah. Yeah, nothing that would change, like, impacts.
Eric, you anything?
No, Ian actually anticipated my question, because I know you couldn't get the machine in to do the borings, and then I was like, how are we gonna get that bridge in if we couldn't get the machine in? But that makes sense. So should we think about just putting a narrative in there about the construction sequencing to make sure that the boring happens first, and that we get verification that everything is fine, and then, then everything will kind of lay out from there? Does that make sense as part of?
Isn't the machinery only getting there once the...
Well, yeah, so we gotta put the access road in first. So
the
yes, I
access
guess it would be the second
But
thing.
that's on the other side of the river, right? So you need first to put the bridge in and then you do the boring?
Yeah, so the project will go out to bid. We'll have a contractor, awarded a contract for this. They will install the access, the timber matting for the access. And then we, like Time Bond and our sub-consultant, the geotechnical driller will utilize the timber matting to access the north abutment
And that goes
location.
across the river.
No, it's
on that side.
So the river is sort of
Okay.
right here, so yeah,
So where do you do the boring? Okay.
about right there, yeah.
So Eric, to your point, as far as the construction sequence, I think we're also, what we'd be getting at is that you're having your access way through the easement, doing the soil boring before creating a whole trail and all that stuff, just in case.
Right, just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, okay.
We'll assume everything's good, but as for the construction sequence, that before we go and
Yep.
make a new trail, cut a bunch of trees, and then find that there's a issue and
Okay.
Tommy, the bridge is gonna be
Measure
similar
twice,
to the
cut
Ed-
once.
Makes sense.
Pardon?
Okay.
Is it gonna be similar to the Ed Calvert Bridge?
No, it's going to be very similar to the bridge Brimfield.
Oh, the one we just...
Recently installed, the Peterson Bridge
Yeah,
in Brimfield will be very similar to that.
that's beautiful.
Yep. Which, the Ed Calcutt Bridge is galvanized kind of trussed, and this is the rusted steel, the type, I forgot the name of the technical term, but
That sounds good.
but it's also a truss design, so
Yeah.
they're both truss designs.
So now that the construction of the walkway, is that gonna be just laid 6x6s, or how's that gonna,
If you skip ahead towards the
go to that?
back, probably, into the details.
I know it's details, huh?
Here's the profile for the two boardwalk locations. So they're raised about 2 feet above grade. It's the composite decking, like a Trex style material, on piles throughout the wetland locations.
It'll be 2 feet above grade? So this would be bike. Can I ride my bike on this?
Yes.
Am
Yep.
I- Yeah. right. Any questions, Carson?
Continuance until October 3rd, is that the request?
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until October 3rd.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. Okay.
If we can get Floor. She can hear us.
So now,
6:30. Francesco Shore Drive, right?
yeah,
And their engineer is
I don't know,
remote,
so we,
Oh,
only
they're
have two?
remote? They're only remote?
No, we have in person, but their engineer's remote.
That's okay, because the contractor really has been leading the project, so he's here.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll use it. Thanks.
And Germano in favor?
All
Can
right.
you hear me?
I think we're about at a 60-second delay.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes.
You in favor too, Flo?
2 Tantasco Shore Drive, notice of intent under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw, construction of a new single-family home and associated site work. How you doing? You want to introduce yourselves, please, and
Rick LeBlanc, Property Solutions, we're going to be doing the work.
Patrick Elliott, the homeowner, or the property owner.
And Shayla Watson, fiance of Patrick Elliott.
So it's a single-family home. The plan was done by Jalbert a while ago. They were under the impression it was approved, but it really wasn't, so we met out there last week. There was a couple questions or concerns that we could make some changes, so Jay Dubois made the changes, and I think we're good to go, but need to hear that from you folks.
all right, that's it. Lauren?
So on the plan, you do see that there is a natural heritage boundary down in the 100-foot buffer. The engineer did reach out to Natural Heritage, and this project does not require a filing, so that concern has been addressed. I had noted in my detail that the original proposal that I saw had the driveway coming out this way onto Tantasco Shore, but due to erosion issues and complaints that we're already getting from the private road occupants, I had requested that it be possible to have the driveway go out onto Allen Road instead. There's also Trown drainage right there as well, so that will feed right in. And it just seemed a little less pitched of a driveway too. So that concern was addressed. Silt fence is being used. The only thing that I think would be appropriate for this project that would be a landscaping plan. That canopy is obviously going to change with all the clearing, so it'd be kind of hard to determine what that's going to be, but I think that there could be a significant amount of landscaping to be done, added around the perimeter, and on the outsides of the limit of work, or insides of the limit of work.
All right.
Wasn't the driveway moved from Allen to Tantasco?
It was moved from Tantasco to Allen.
So the original driveway was right here where there's kind of like a
So is it?
indent, and now it's going out this way onto.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
So on site, we were worried about the grade, and there was some, you had made the request about maybe having a silt fence instead of wattles.
Yeah.
That's been added on the
That
original.
has been added to the plan? Okay.
Yep.
So,
There's silt fence detail right here.
oh, reading is fundamental. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you.
It doesn't look much different than the other one, but it's silt fence there.
I appreciate the change. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Nothing else said.
I have no questions. You have any?
Those look fine.
I guess the only question I would have with the landscape, can we get some kind of recommendation as what you want done? 'Cause do you need us to put that on a plan, or is it, how does this happen? I just want to make sure we do things properly. So if we have to do something with landscaping, do you tell us what to do, or how does that work?
So you'd provide a landscaping plan, just essentially a proposal of showing what you would be putting to mitigate the loss of some of what you're clearing. Typically, our policy is a 2-to-1, which is hard to do when you're clearing for a single-family home.
Yep.
So due to the amount that it's being cleared, for an initial proposal, we'll say be generous and use your best estimate, but that's gonna come back before us.
Okay.
We would request nothing that is considered invasive or not native. You can get the approved plant list online, but I think definitely adding some perimeter planting and also just spatially throughout your site as well. Obviously, you're trying to achieve having a yard, which you can still, have a nice functional yard with some healthy trees.
Absolutely.
If you're the occupants, it's something that's nice for you to have in your control because you can look at trees and vegetation. That's going to be something that you can easily manage. Things that'll hold on, and it doesn't have to all be trees. It can be a mix of trees, shrubs, upland plants.
Blueberry plants.
You'd come back to us with that plan prior to any site work. And then once, that's my recommended condition.
Yeah.
Last question I had for you folks, were you able to read through the detailed agenda that the agent put through? Were there any comments or notes on what she's asking for that you would like to discuss before we?
I don't have any questions, no. Other than I understand the plan.
Is that bump out gonna stay?
It looks like it.
I don't know.
The parking area?
Oh, that's already there.
Yeah, that's pre-existing.
The neighbor parks there, so.
It's stoned in, it's all, it's been there forever. It was already part of the property, yeah. It is on my property, but it's been there, it was prior to.
And you're not gonna
my
do
arrival.
anything about it?
I wasn't planning on doing anything different with it,
I
but.
believe the neighbor across the street parks their Corvette.
Something like
Yeah,
that,
because they have such a high-pitched driveway that it's really challenging for them to get up and onto the road, especially with the current road.
So it worked out good for them to move the driveway.
Right.
They made out like a bandit.
Yeah.
Anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Seeing none, you want?
All right, with regards to the project at 2 Tantascwa Shore Drive, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. All right.
Should we wait 60 seconds for Fleur, or?
You can start making the motion for the
All right.
next part.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, with regards to the project at 2 Tantascwa Shore Drive, I'd like to make a motion to approve the notice of intent under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with all the agent's notes associated with the detailed agenda, with the specific call-out of the $2,500 surety or cash bond that will be released upon issuance of a certificate of compliance.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
San Germano in favor.
Oh, see?
60-second delay.
Yeah, Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
All right.
Now, which motion was she in favor of?
She closing the public hearing.
Everything prior.
All the above.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, good luck.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
All right, we are continued public hearings. Podunk Road, 2.5 miles.
Not all these good people are here to see you, Ed, but I have a feeling they're here for this public hearing.
All right, you guys are all.
San Germano in favor for the second one.
Can you see her up there?
There appears to be
Really?
issues with the outgoing audio. In the chat, I have put the link to the cable access so you can view it that way. And if she can't see the chat, she can go on the agenda and there's the link right there to go to the live stream. There is about a 60-second delay.
Please introduce yourselves and
Good evening. My name's Allison Millman. I'm with BSC Group. I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
My name is Nora Lovelace Tassell. I'm with BSC Group.
My name is Jeremy Sherman. I'm here for National Grid.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now this.
So last time we met, it was requested that we provide a map showing every tree that was going to be removed within jurisdiction of the commission.
Yeah.
So we have provided that for the commission's review. So I just want to make sure everyone received a copy of that. Okay, perfect. Great, you have it up on the screen. So is there interest in kind of walking through this plan?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Great. So it's pretty much a, feel free to chime in, Nora. Yep. But it's pretty much a page by page, we were showing the different buffer zone, the 200-foot local buffer zones, and then the 100-foot, as well as the bordering vegetated wetlands. Where you see we have different symbology based on tree species, whether or not they're alive, declining, or dead, and their DBH, just to kind of give you a visual representation of the type and nature of the tree that is proposed to be removed. So we can go probably to the next page, please, Lauren. We're entering. Oh, that's fine.
It is rather large.
Mine's always slow, especially when people are watching it.
Right.
So this is along Podunk Road, right along the shoulder there. Again, the light pink, I guess you could call it, is a 200, and then it goes fast, like mine does the same thing.
Yes.
The 200-foot local is the pink. If you saw that, it kind of sped by. It's going back. The green is the 100-foot.
Okay.
And then there's the 50 and 25.
What did the red dash line represent?
I believe that's the existing line.
That is the existing line.
Oh, okay.
And that is removal.
And just as you walk through, this is what I described 2 months ago, I believe, as far as the length, the number of poles,
Yeah.
and the new Hendrix conductor. The more we see it as a more reliable system here.
And in the upper left, there is a tally, just counting how many of the trees are within jurisdiction versus outside jurisdiction.
Right.
And I did go through all of those, and my note on the detailed agenda says over 600, but that's for the whole project. For ones within our jurisdiction, it's 412 total throughout for the whole project.
Well, you can't cut those, right? Just kidding.
Not yet.
That's the old line there. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If you have any questions,
I'm not recognizing my property or the road behind my house.
I'm not there yet. I'm going up all around.
pull the chair up closer.
All right, that's good.
We're starting from the bottom and working our way up to that end.
Pretty much we'd like to hear about next steps and what's
Yeah,
occurred.
yeah, I understand.
There we go.
Yeah.
So this is as we go off Route 49.
So this is our bordering vegetated wetland impacts for the project.
Yeah, and you can see that's where Podunk Road used to go before Route 49 bifurcated it.
Yeah.
Did I hear correctly, the entire project will involve removing over 400 trees?
For the entire length of the
600.
project, it's, from that tip all the way down to the end of the span, so not just in that area.
Right.
This is working up North Sturbridge Road.
And we're going into East Brookfield for a minute. To Charlton. And that's where the solar facility will be.
On that field?
Well, that's the interconnection.
Is this
Yes,
where-
that's
this where the
interconnection.
solar field is going?
No,
What I heard?
I think it's down here, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's already there.
Solar
I haven't
field's
been-
already there?
I'm fairly certain, I drove by that area the other day, I'm fairly certain it's already
I've
there.
been so hyper-focused on this one little section, I can't tell you.
So the solar field is here?
I believe it's on the other, Alex, you on, buddy? Alex
Thick
is
road.
calling
Charlton
from,
Road, East
probably can't hear
Yeah,
us.
Oh.
it's down this way.
yes,
yeah.
that's correct. I'm sure that Alex.
Yeah, you could tell by the way the
Alex is,
interconnection.
he can't
shoots
hear us.
out.
But yes, those poles go to the interconnection.
It's on the southern, I guess that'd be the southern side of North Sturbridge Road.
The trees for that, rather
If
than
you drive
use-
up that way, you can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Just over the town line.
Haven't installed solar panels yet, correct? There's still rock pounding, I can still hear that from my house.
Yeah, Chris Nolan, who represents NextEra, who is building the solar site, is not here today, so I would have to ask him. National Grid is not building that solar site. It's our job to connect them.
Okay. Any questions? Let me go ahead.
What, it has the question of the trees that need to be planted on property owners' lands to kind of like mitigate. Has that been settled? Do we have?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's on that road.
There's your minute delay.
Yeah.
So this hasn't had its tree hearing yet, and it hasn't done the scenic road permit yet. So essentially, there's 3 different entities that are all going to be requiring replanting, and we're right now the first stop, but it's going to be having the tree hearing. Do you have a date on that yet? They give you one?
We do not. We did provide Tony
It's updated.
with this map approximately the same time you received it.
And as far as the regulations, the town cannot plant on private property, so that's something Jean and Robin are both trying to.
This conference will now be recorded.
To mitigate that loss on private property to where technically we cannot plant. Within our area, as we've mentioned before, it's going to be a difficult task to replant back in this area because that right of way technically is a scenic road. It's just very much overgrown at this point. And to replant, it's going to have to be very conscious of what type of plantings we're doing because it needs to be something that can be maintained that won't get so high that it's going to interfere with the power lines. In my opinion, I think this would be a great area for something lower, partially because the residents that are on this area currently have a visual and sound barrier for a good portion of the year. And then once fall hits and all those leaves go open, that kind of opens up again. But if there's some lower plantings, that might actually even be better than it was currently. If there's something that stays, maintains part of its foliage throughout the year versus losing all of the leaves, and then now you've lost that visual and sound barrier with the change of season.
Yeah.
So it may be an opportunity to kind of enhance for that.
Right, and that seems like a reasonable accommodation. Do you have any recommendations that we can incorporate in part of this to make sure that that happens?
We've kind of gone through a couple different things. It's going to be depending on the shade canopy once we're done, which I'm going to assume is still going to be heavily shaded for the most part. But the usual go-tos, rhododendron, mountain laurel, dogwood, depending on the sunlight in those areas. Can do some ferns in the wetland areas that are being disturbed. There was one pole that's right in the wetland. Definitely an opportunity for some diverse planting, which will even be better for the biodiversity in this area too. So,
How can we
Well, it's a
ensure?
Planning board gonna, they're in charge of the.
Scenic Road is
scenic-
also going to be requiring some planting as
Yeah.
well. So whatever this board chooses, Jean and I will be working for her to make her recommendation off of ours, but it's going to be a lot of players into it. I have recommended the surety bond in place for holding for the replanting, and then replanting plan could be finalized once every other board has had their say.
Right, okay, well, that makes sense.
Is there a preference, as to, I'm sure they have a preference, let's just get one approval and start knocking them down, but is there a position that we should be taking as a commission as to the order of those approvals? Should we, as a practical matter, go first? Or should we, because the wetlands are involved, wait for Scenic Road and wait for planning to provide their plans and their approvals, and then have us review what that is and make sure it satisfies what our needs are as a commission? I feel very uncomfortable leaving wetlands decisions like this and plantings to other boards that don't deal with this on a consistent basis. And I certainly don't deal with scenic roads or planning on a consistent basis, but I would rather have the last bite at the apple than the first bite at the apple. What's your position on that?
Internally, we've had this discussion quite a bit between town administrator, the town planner, the tree warden, the DPW director, just trying to figure out what the best approach is for this whole project. And conservation having the biggest impact, it's one. The cards are essentially in your hand for the major portion of the work. We're going to require more planting than Scenic Road is going to require. There was some back and forth if it would make sense for the tree warden to do the hearing first, then conservation, and then Scenic Road last. And that's still kind of the discussion as
But
I had understood it.
what I'd like to see is a combination of what Eric said, which is they go in and they execute the cutting. It'll be a heck of a lot easier to determine where we need to put replantings. So to agree to a 2-to-1 planting schedule beforehand, but not have it be a detail until we can get out there. And we're looking for 400 replacements. It shouldn't be too hard to.
Well, if you're asking 2-to-1, you're asking for 800 replacements.
800, yeah. Well, my math is good.
No, I'm just curious.
824 to be exact.
824, right. A, is there room for that? B, is the applicant okay with that, or do we need to have a grander conversation? And C, as a practical legal matter, can we vote to approve with that type of, that's a pretty large outstanding item. It's not a small one. So if we can, as a legal matter, condition that to our approval, that it needs to come back and meet our standards and with the agent's guidance and our approval, then I'm okay with doing it that way. But that seems to be a pretty big item out there that we're just conditioning with a come back to us after the fact. So
I would sit on a commitment as to what the commitment would be, just not where the plan would go.
Okay, so you're asking as part of the approval, we're asking for 824 replacements to be determined as to the type and placement in concert with the commission and the guidance of the agent. That's essentially what you're asking.
Yeah. The only thing I would like them to be, where possible, be trees.
If I may,
Go ahead.
if you could scroll back, Lauren, please.
This way back?
Yeah, to the area. Sorry, to the
Major.
yeah. So we will need to retain the ability to access in there. So in the event, let's say, a pole does fall down, we will need to get out there with at minimum what we call a backyard machine, or a bucket truck and a digger, and replace that pole. So if it were too overgrown, it would not allow us to do that, and probably wouldn't be something that we could sign up for. Our main goal is to keep the lights on, right? So we would need access.
I wonder if there's an opportunity here to kind of have a defined access needs provided to the commission, and then we could work with maybe what's outside of that, and plant, what's needed, considering the fact too that they have to maintain the clearances. So I think we're all aware that they're going to need to be low growing or very slow growing, very low growing, that don't get into the compromise the overhead wires species. But I would be concerned if we planted a bunch of really nice, say, blueberry bushes in there, and then there was an emergency and
Well, I think, if I may, isn't that covered by the provision that we're not determining placement at this point? And we're not even specifically determining type at this point. We are agreeing to number and then agreeing to determine type and placement at which point the project has already started, right?
It seems to me, though, that they can't agree on the number because...
Well, then come out and say that.
Right,
That's,
so-
if we're dancing around the number, then we'll say it's the number that's the problem.
But
If it's the placement, then that's a separate
It's the
conversation.
placement. It's the placement, we just need access.
Is that when you go in and you take out 400 trees, they're going to be sizable trees. Many of them very large. And when you go in and replace them with two to one, they're not going to be very large. So we've got a couple generations before we'll need to worry about, we might not even be using power lines by that time.
If I may too, Ed, if you recall from the site visit, in this area, there were some very mature trees that were on the outskirts, a couple which we had identified and requested that they be saved. For what was the road itself, it's younger growth.
Right, absolutely.
My stance would be more on the number of a 2-to-1, so the 824 trees, which throughout if you're talking of the whole project,
Yeah.
then we're also getting into private property lines and whatnot too. So as far as what's within their easement, the space is going to be limited. Some of the planting would be on town property, which the town would not have an objection to. But putting a tree next to someone's mailbox that they didn't ask for, that's
Well,
kind of a
that's why I'm saying
So I
that
think
we-
it's the number.
That's why I'm saying that we sort the plan out after.
What
They can put one next to my
proposing
mailbox.
a minimum
Yeah.
ratio might make the most sense, that prior to any site disturbance at all, that a landscaping plan be provided with a minimum of a X to X ratio of planting, and identifying the different species and going about it that way.
I mean, that's a
So it'd come back
possibility, I
and that
think.
and
Yeah.
it wouldn't require a public hearing, but the commission they'd present a plan to the commission at an open meeting, just not an advertised public hearing, where we'll look at the plan page by page like this. And if for whatever reason the ratio that you determine appropriate. If that cannot be achieved, there needs to be an explanation for it. So say that you put it at a 1-to-1 ratio, and they come back and say, this is the most that we can do, here is our reason as to why it cannot be 1-to-1. And so that way there's some room because of the site restraints, but also there's no activity that's being done prior to looking at this. And the security bond in place as well.
So, I guess and that makes sense, but I guess I'm a little confused. I thought the goal was to have the clearing happen and then get on site and identify where the proper placement is. What you just said there was before any clearing happens.
I'm
or
hearing
disturbance.
different concerns as well, and then different from the meeting. So it could be the plan and then post-clearing, or we could authorize the clearing and then a plan to return. And then security bond goes back after certificate of compliance after replanting, because you have that. It's just, I know at one point there was a concern that you authorize the clearing and say, you'll get back to the planting, and then just the planting never happens, and then it becomes one of those things that just kind of gets lost. And we battle it out for several years, but
Well,
that'd
true,
be why the
and
security
give-
bond
and-
would
and
be in
give it,
place.
Right, and that's a given. That makes sense.
So if the town needed to step in and do planting in a worst case scenario, not saying that it's gonna happen, I'm just.
But if we have a minimum 1-to-1, then nothing more will happen. We'll just do a 1-to-1.
Yeah.
We could just say a 2-to-1, and any deviation from that needs an explanation, or 1.5-to-1 or something like that.
So a 2-to-1 replanting plan post-clearing or before any work? What would you be looking for?
I would say post-clearing.
If we think that the landscape plan can be done in a fashion pre-clearing that we can identify where those plantings should go, then that's preferred. But my concern was, what I was hearing was, practically, that's going to be difficult to do because we need to see the contour of what we're dealing with
And the new canopy.
under the new canopy to make that decision. So if that's truly the case, I'm okay with holding back on the landscaping plan until post-clearing. And we establish that 2-to-1 ratio, and then, make sure that is provisioned properly in the order of conditions that needs to be approved in a public meeting by the Conservation Commission after being reviewed by our agent.
Yeah, in conjunction with the other boards.
In conjunction with the other boards, right? Well, that's where my question comes into play. Like, if the scenic roads has different requirements or different needs that don't satisfy what our needs are, and they take the second bite of the apple, does that alter any of our rights? Whereas if they come in first and they say, this is what our needs are, and they come in and it's
A
whatever.
replanting plan would be a possible change.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
I think that having that
Does it
after would
only
make
get
sense.
better, or does it potentially get worse? Again, that's my concern. Like, if we allow them to drive this bus after we make our decision, is there any risk of this getting worse for us based off of their decisions? Probably not, right?
In my opinion, the biggest impact is under your jurisdiction. So,
Which is true, but then why should we be going first? Because
well,
we're
the
blind.
scenic road is only such a small portion of it too, of the whole project, because
Yeah.
you don't have to go for all of Podunk, right?
Well, and
Just
that's another good point. These 824 trees don't necessarily have to go exactly where they're coming out. We can disperse them in other areas of wetlands, maybe where there's something that needs to be done, and we can direct that at your discretion, right?
There's the overlap between.
There's a lot of overlap in this area because this is going to be scenic. And then Tree Warden, I believe, is primarily, well, technically that's a
Across the
street.
way, right?
So, well, technically that's a street. So he has to look at the street trees.
He's been down there, yeah.
Right, and he's gone out and he's spent a lot of time out there. But basically, everything that's outside of our jurisdiction, the ones within our jurisdiction, he's given an opinion on few, and then left those.
So we got to come up with something here.
Well, I think, I think the practical, or the prudent way to proceed is to memorialize the ratio and
Right.
the need for a landscaping plan to come back in front of us at a public meeting that is reviewed with our agent before it comes in front of us.
No problem with that. I'd prefer to do it after, but,
After the clearing?
yeah.
Yeah, and we can approve for the clearing as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
And then just to go back time-wise, you were thinking ideally clearing would begin in the spring?
Yes.
So we'd be looking to get a landscaping plan like next summer, end of next summer? I don't know how long, how many trees it's gonna take.
Yes, so we, to commit to the number of trees, we are, like I said, the key thing for us is to have access in there in the case of emergency, right? So we can, that is sort of my kind of
Yeah, but that will always remain. I
Yes.
mean, we're not fighting emergency access.
Okay, so we need to be able to get in there, it'll be gated off, it'll be shut down, and then it sounds like we need to fit the trees somewhere, or the dogwood, whatnot, in that area.
As best we can,
Well, but
I think
I
we
think
need to
the-
do our best, very best.
Emergency access would be reason not to plant.
Yeah, so the clearance right now, like it's designed so, pretty much per our standard, which would prevent, if you're driving down the road and you see, distribution pole, you'll see it's cleared back usually, I think it's about 10 feet, right? So that's what governed this design for us, to make sure that trees aren't falling this way onto it, right? And then we're worried about them growing up into it. So our forestry department, would clear things that get too high and get too close to the line. Like you said, it could be 20 years, right? And if they're on the side, that's fine. Or in spots that are open right now even, or that become open, they just can't be right underneath it, right? Because we won't be able to get in. And if you guys understand that, and we can look at that post-clearing, then that makes sense. I just don't want you to think we're going to grow it all underneath it,
You can understand our position, or mine maybe more than ours, in that if we go out there after everything's been cleared, and I see wetland areas that are heating up and exposed because of what's been done, then I would want to have a remedial plan around them.
Understood.
And that requires trees.
Or even just in the interim, I really liked Lauren's idea of the lower, emergent shrub, wetland plantings that would provide immediate relief, because like we were saying, if there are going to be, compatible trees.
Yeah, but the problem with those trees is that they never provide shade. They're too soft, they're too short, they're too small.
Like a high bush blueberry, or that's
Doesn't
not-
provide any shade. Have you ever laid under a high blueberry?
It does provide a lot of shade and habitat though, so
It
having
does,
a
in habitat
variety-
it does,
So
yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
I would say and you've spent more time out there than I have, but I would say the biodiversity out there is fairly limited because it's all pretty much the same 3 or 4 species out there. By replanting trees, shrubs, and ferns, that's also going to increase the habitat in those wildlife
Oh, I
areas.
don't have any problem with that, but I can't tell you how many dogwoods and that they want to plant and replace shade trees around lakes and ponds. I mean, it's just, and they're still there and they're not doing any work. So I'd like to see it, some of both probably, but.
And the only other question I had for Lauren is 824 trees. Does $10,000 cover that? Should we be asking for a $25,000 bond on this? That's a significant
That was not
cost.
taking into account for 800 trees, but just for let's see, I think I have an estimate on another project that's like 60-something mixture of trees and shrubs at just under 1,200 for 3 to 4 foot.
Right.
So that's 60-something trees.
So
Take
10
that
times that
number.
would be 600, and that's 12,000. And then we're 33% on top of that, so that's 16,000. So maybe we use a round number of 20,000 as the bond to cover that 824 trees. Just as a practical matter, the point is to cover the cost in the event of non-compliance.
Worst case scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
And they can get a surety bond easy enough. It's National Grid. So.
Yeah.
They can pay us.
Consider it done.
I mean, that was last month's utility bill for me, I think, so I think it's okay.
Anyone in the audience like to speak, please?
I appreciate all your efforts. Well, the $20,000 security bond would not only cover the cost of the trees, but planting, the service to plant. That would incur fees as well. And then my second question would be about the time limit. If everything seems to appear in the spring, that makes sense. But how long will it be until trees are planted? It'd be nice to have a time limit. When that needs to, at least the landscaping plan must be completed within so many days.
Well, under the order, they'd have 3 years. The order of conditions valid for 3 years. But it's also there's so many variables that are gonna come into that, and that could be part of a construction sequence as well,
We
because.
can provide a construction sequence.
Okay, if everything goes according to plan and they get started on the project, then we have the opportunity for, planting seasons for planting in that fall or the following spring. Something happens and say National Grid, in all, puts this project kind of more towards the bottom, or something more pressing comes up and the timeline gets pushed, it might vary. But there could be, you could illustrate on planting within X amount of time post-clearing.
Well, put a caveat in, if the project is delayed, they have to put the trees in immediately. I mean, particularly in and around a residence where somebody's,
Are there any risk that the trees will all be cut and then the plan won't move forward?
there's always that
And
risk.
then what
It's
assurance
probably
is that
limited,
they'll
but
replant?
it's probably a low risk, but, there's a sure factor that, if they say they're gonna do it in 3, they'll do it in 5, right? Or
4.
4.
No,
That was Lake Road that we just did.
What?
That was Lake Road that we just did last
Yeah.
week, but they didn't do it in the 3 and they came back in the 4th.
the driver, unfortunately, Chris Nolan isn't here, but, they are building that solar plant, so they're gonna need to connect it, so they're gonna be, moving forward with that.
Yeah.
So we will need to be ready, per agreement with them, to provide them the distribution line.
So I would say there's significantly more players as part of this project than just your typical
Sure.
Yeah.
distribution.
How long should if best case scenario, if everything goes according to plan, how long would the project take from shovel in the ground till the
Because they won't
plantings
do
are
it
in and
before
you're
the
coming to
solar
us for a
cells.
certificate of compliance?
Yep, let me pull up the schedule, 1 second.
This might answer your question a little bit.
And I do have, for anyone that read the detailed too, I did put a tree monitoring condition on here.
2 years.
2
Well, that was
years.
as a follow-up that got me thinking,
Yeah.
when does that clock start? Is it 2 years?
You could do it for 2 years, you could do it
post-certificate
for
of
2 growing
compliance?
seasons, but due to the scope, I would say 2 years, because if all of this gets done in the year, then you've got 2 growing seasons to monitor it. That'll be, at that time, the 3 years will pretty much be up. If everything gets delayed, then they file a 1-year extension just for the purpose of the tree monitoring.
So, we plan on starting the work right now, in July. That's what my schedule shows.
Okay.
Is there some opportunity to pull that in? I think so. There's things that have to be decided, whether we use in-house crews or contract it out. If we contract it out, it will take more time. So things like, things like that, a whole procurement event will have to
Me?
occur.
Where do you want to sit over there?
So, as of right now, we're looking at starting in July.
And finishing when?
And finishing in April 2026. So July
So-
2025 to April
So
2026.
basically a nine-month project.
Yes.
Okay.
Possibly planting that spring, if not starting in the fall.
Right. And then that would start the clock at that point. Plantings go in, let's call it summer.
Yes, and like I said, we can look at the schedule and see how, can we get ahead of that work first? Can we fit it?
Actually,
together?
the getting ahead of it isn't the issue, because if you do it in 9 months, whenever you do it in 9 months, that's better than if you start it and drag it out.
Yes. Yes. No, we can provide details later as far as, where we'll start and as far as for the whole line, right?
I assume it depends on whether the solar farm is in and functioning. I mean, once they produce electricity from the solar panels, there has to be this. new
Yes. I mean, we cannot control that. That is correct.
Right, so I mean, it's,
They can't power on, right?
No, it's not our facility. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, we got to finalize this now.
Yeah.
but you would,
So we're looking at it.
would you start before you know that the solar's in? I mean, functioning?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be done on a
Yes. We will not wait for the solar farm to be complete to start. That's correct.
So proposing a 2-to-1 landscaping plan once the clearing has been completed, which is estimated April of 2026, but
Yeah.
subject to change. And if there is going to be, if for whatever reason the 2-to-1 cannot be accomplished, we'd be looking for a written narrative explaining why or what restrictions are there, and then an increase of that bond to 20,000.
25, I say. 25?
That works, 25. Because if that $1,200 number didn't include labor, we probably should give ourselves an extra $5,000 for labor. Yep. At least, well, yeah, I was being generous, but, yeah. Okay.
I've asked the audience, so let's,
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Sancho in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at Podunk Road, the 2.5 miles with various addresses, DEP file number 300-1200, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project and issue an order of conditions with all of the discussions around the planting plan that we just agreed to with the agent and the applicant, and also the other notes that the agent put into the detailed agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Sancho in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed
Carsten
Goodwin.
Stuber in favor.
And Ed, go ahead, yeah, that's all right.
Carsten Stuber.
And Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at Podunk Road, that is under DEP file number 300-1200, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw, with all of the conditions already stated, and additional conditions about the use of pesticides, and a security bond or deposit of cash in the amount of $25,000 should be provided, or shall be provided, not should, and released upon a completed order of condition, or certificate of compliance, excuse me.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Sancho in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for coming out and being part of the process. We appreciate you coming out.
All right.
Oh, we
We're
actually
now at 378 Main Street
did that.
and 1 Old Sturbridge Road. Notice of intent, installation of a pond leveler. DEP file number, not yet.
Yes, we do have the DEP file number,
Oh.
and I will be speaking on behalf of this project today. DEP file number 300-1210. We did receive some DEP comments, both that have already been addressed. The first was just questioning if it was a beaver dam or a beaver lodge that was being removed. We're not proposing to remove the lodge. The lodge is remaining. It's just that dam that we're taking down
Yep.
slightly to be able to get that achieved water level.
Just the first one, too, not the second.
Correct. And then the other comment was stating that there should be, that they don't, DEP doesn't recommend a perpetual condition for lowering, that it would be an extension of the order of conditions if that was needed, which was the plan long-term, and this is why that's why the town's proposing this as an order of conditions, so that way they can return for the maintenance and extend it if needed.
Yeah.
But other than that, those were the comments. Everything else was addressed. If the commission had any other questions, I'd be happy to answer those on behalf of Heather.
Eric, you have any questions?
I don't.
Arson, no, neither do I. No.
You know what a pond level is?
What?
I know what a pond level is.
All right, so I think we're gonna have to go back and vote on a waiver for that last project, I just realized. Remind me, because the waiver thing is new. We close the public hearing.
Then the waiver.
Then do the waiver, then
My
do
apologies for not
DP,
catching that.
And then we do Sturbridge. Okay. So, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing for DEP file number 300-1210.
I have a second.
Second.
Discussion? All right, all in favor?
Benjamin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 378 Main Street, under DEP file number 300-1210, I'd like to make a motion to approve the waiver required for work in the wetland and disturbance on the bank.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion at all? None at all in favor?
Benjamin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 378 Main Street and 1 Old Sturbridge Village Road, DEP file number 300-1210, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the agent's recommended conditions in the detailed agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Benjamin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 378 Main Street and 1 Old Sturbridge Village Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the special conditions already noted in the Wetland Protection Act approval.
Second.
Discussion? We need a waiver for this, too?
I don't think so.
Checking. All right. Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Should we clean up that waiver right now or wait until the end?
You
Go
can
ahead.
do that now, just so that way we don't forget about it later.
With regards to the project at Podunk Road, DP file number 300-1200, I'd like to make a motion to issue a waiver required for the replacement of 2 utility poles and the removal of 3 trees along Podunk Road, the installation of 2 utility poles along Podunk Road, removal of 133 trees along the abandoned road, grubbing 20 feet, access way to be restored with 4 inches of loam and woodland seed mix.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Benjamin in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor.
All right, I'll do better next time, Lauren, sorry.
We're now on to 7 Shepherd Place, notice of intent, new septic system, DEP file number 300-1207. Annie, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm Steven Soper, Soper Construction, the installer. I'm in place of Mark Farrell, because he's not here. Again.
That's a step up.
I like that. So, just septic system. The entire septic system is within the 200-foot barrier. I'd say 5 or 10 feet of the leach field is within the 100-foot barrier. Straw walls at the bottom. That's pretty much it. It's cut and dry. There's one tree, or it's 2 trees actually, that have to come down. It's barely within the 100-foot buffer zone.
All right, so what about some trees out over here or
Have you been
down?
out to the site since the plan was done?
Yeah.
Okay. When we went on our site visit, there's a tree that fell down that I'm fairly certain is on the other property line.
Okay.
But it's going out about this far,
Okay.
so it's probably going to be in your way. So we did have, part of the reason that this got continued was to have that discussion. That my recommendation was that, you're gonna have to top the tree because the down tree's in your way, but the rest of it, just leave it alone. The snag that's there, and I don't even think it's on their property, but that was my recommendation is, top that so it's not a downed tree in the middle of the yard, but the rest, it's in that property line in the woods anyway, and just leave it be.
Okay.
Easy enough.
Well, anybody in the audience like to speak to this?
What about that pad?
Yeah, we had
Good
talked
question
about
about
it.
it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
had talked about it with the property owner too. We had talked about the filled-in pool that's concrete,
Yeah.
but it seems that the current property owner is selling it. So
Yeah, I think she just wants to get out of it, and if any future buyer wanted to do something, they would just have to come file.
I would just like to make that clear in the narrative and within the order of
What's in the
conditions
pool?
of the scope of the project.
tell you.
So if
No idea.
the new homeowners come in and decide, I want to take down this shed back here, or I want to dig up this pool again and put a patio here, that any of that work is going to have to come back for this board. So just stating it in the record for the meeting and then making that clear in the narrative within the order of
Is it a raise and rebuild?
I don't think so, no. No, I don't think so.
It's a beautiful house. I was told it's in great condition, that the bones are good on it.
What?
I was told that the bones were good on the house.
Bones, huh?
It's that little shed in the back and possibly the
Spinny's old-
garage that are in question.
That's Spinny's old place.
I know.
I'm not digging anywhere I don't have to.
You never know. There may be real bones there, huh?
Well,
okay.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards, are there any waivers? No waivers on this one. With regards to the project at 7 Shepherd Place, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under DEP file number 300-1207 with the agent's notes that are in the detailed agenda and the additional commentary that we just discussed.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second, yeah.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 7 Shepherd Place, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with all the conditions already approved above under the Wetland Protection Act, and also an additional condition of a security bond or deposit of money in the amount of $1,000 to be provided before the start of work and released after issuance of a successful certificate of compliance.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank
Sorry
you
I
very
called
much.
you Danny. I know that's.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right, we are now at 328 The Trail. Continued notice of intent, construction of 2 cantilever docks and repair of a shoreline wall, DEP file number 300-1182. Okay.
Did the Board of Selectmen decide anything?
Yeah, they decided it's on us.
No, they didn't decide anything.
Right.
It hasn't been before them.
We have a plan, we do have a new plan. She's getting it.
Hear from the applicant, and we can go through that. I'm not gonna-
It's a double.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right, Mark?
Yep.
All set?
Yep, go ahead.
Mark Levine, the representative for Rocco Falcone, the property owner.
Yeah, I'm Rocco, I'm the property owner of 328. About 2 years ago, I noticed that our lake wall was falling away from the property line and into the lake. And at that time, I talked with Mark about, repairing the wall, and we have 2 temporary docks that we would move in and out every year, and the posts were starting to rust and causing issues. And I talked to him about putting in place cantilever docks, and thought it was a much better solution than the temporary docks. And my understanding is we've been in front of you and continued because there were some other requests that you folks made, and we're hoping that we have satisfied all the concerns that would be any obstacles for you approving this plan that would fall within your purvey and scope. That would have to do with the perimeter and the land improvements. So we've made some changes that Mark will walk you through, but I'm hoping that we can get this, approved this evening, so I can get my seawall repaired, or actually modified, so it doesn't fall in the lake and cause an eyesore and other issues or other problems. So we really hope we can get this matter approved this evening, and I'll turn it over to Mark to kind of walk you through the plan.
So some of the changes that we made minimize the counterweight size to put in 2 counterweights, one for each dock, instead of one bigger counterweight encompassing both, so it'll be less excavation. And then what we've attempted to do is close off there's a sand beach there right now, and it has concrete in the water.
Yeah.
I have a good picture of the current conditions, visualize. I don't know who's been on the site.
They've all been.
This is the pointer.
That happens.
I can work with that, I think.
I was trying to have your plan and this up at the same time. It's not being slow on me.
So this is the site, okay.
So the wall is from right about here to here is in disrepair. The water is on the opposite side, it's on the shore side of the wall now, it comes through. So when Lauren and I walked, we looked at it, and the proposal that we're coming up with is to change from here to here and put boulders in and a mixture of plantings to make it more naturalized, so that lake-wise, it's got more of a natural appearance. And then these are all the concrete pads that are in right here, and here are this big between these big boulders. We take all of these out, close this off with boulders, with just a couple of steps in the, 4-foot wide steps down to the water. And then close this off with possibly leaving a little spot for a kayak to come out of the water. And the design of the boulders is so there's not a direct path of water or erosion down there, kind of overlapped, so that it would stop any more erosion. So what we're trying to do from this point all the way over to here, match what's over here with boulders all the way through here, and naturalize it, put plantings on this side of the boulder, and again in here as well. So what we're trying to do is naturalize the shoreline. It's 130 feet. That's why we feel that the 2 docks is fine, because we've done double docks on Big Alum on much less property frontage. So this one being 130 is pretty large. So that's it. That's kind of the changes that we've made from the last time we proposed the double docks.
And in my view too, going from the retaining wall to the boulders provide a softer break for waves. So especially a lake as active as this one that has, so many pontoon boats and speed boats and fishing boats, all that wave activity, when it's hitting off a hard retaining wall, it's sending that all back. The boulders allow for a softer break, which is less disruptive to the wildlife, aquatic life within that area. And one thing I did not get an opportunity to speak with you on yet, but I have a listed on the detail as part of the landscaping, is having the opportunity to maybe get a smaller tree in this area. I think that'd be a great opportunity for it, where, provide a little bit of extra shade in an area that you're going to be utilizing frequently, but something that will be easily managed, that won't become a nuisance to the deck and the dock that's on there. But, as we're seeing, we're losing trees all over the shoreline, so I think that would be a appropriate request to work with your existing landscaping, but the deck itself is coming up, being moved, and then it's going back on. It's not a new deck that's going on there, so that disruptance for the counterweights is going under that existing disturbed area. I was looking at the options of trying to improve the habitat area, improve the landscape, and reduce the overall impact from what was originally proposed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I remember. I'm just trying to remember the length of the dock that was originally proposed to.
They're the same, 24 feet.
They were still 24. Okay. And were they always? It was the bigger one, always 10 feet.
No, it was larger than that. We brought it back down to 10.
Cut it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
And Chapter 91 is what?
This will require a Chapter 91 filing with the state, because essentially Chapter 91 is not going to be looking at the bank impact. They're looking at the over the water. So an easy way to summarize it is, when you're getting your Chapter 91 license for a permanent dock through the state, you're essentially requesting to lease that airspace above the water, or if it's a permanent dock, leasing that area of the water from the state. Those permits are typically good for 15 years. That also goes through its own process as well. So it undergoes review, it undergoes a butter notification. There is an additional 21-day appeal period through Chapter 91 process as well, but they'll look for compliance under their regulations.
Yeah, we've already filed that, and we're at the point where we wait on your decision, then we go the rest of it. And that right now has taken almost a year they've taken a long time to get approved. They just
And
got
going
word
to
yesterday that the
your
elements are 3
comment
weeks away from
prior
being
to the
signed.
hearing, prior to opening this hearing, the select board has been somewhat discussing docks. It is on the agenda for this coming week. At this time, the select board is not looking to get in the mix of changing the regulations with permanent dock. It hasn't, still just kind of all in discussion, but right now there's a lot up in the air on their current policy of temporary docks, and a lot that needs to be done with that. So you all are
So
invited to come to
you've
that
written a
meeting on Monday.
28-page report that you are taking to them, is that correct?
Correct. Well, I wrote a couple pages, and then I put all the Chapter 91 and previous memos as part of
So
that
have you
packet.
seen it?
I haven't read the whole thing, no.
No. Have you? I don't know, questions, as I read this, this is a deck here,
That's the
Correct.
existing deck. yep.
and this is a deck going to be put in.
Right, dock.
Dock.
It says deck, doesn't it? D-E-C-K?
That's a no.
Oh, it's an O,
If you
okay.
go to the existing, it show, the existing photograph, the other dock is actually on the beach, because it's rusted. Go to the left, and then right there, that's the other one that goes next to it, but I had to replace the post.
Well,
I think environmentally, I think it makes much more sense to
When you're taking that in and out
in and out each year
wheeling
on the
it through
dock,
stone, you're
Yep.
probably tracking some of that. I'm assuming you bring it up to the sand,
up to the beach, yep.
so you're probably tracking
Two
some
docks
sand
go-
in and out of the water.
Which means it's not a direct line in and out. It has to go, through the shoreline.
So how long is this temporary?
Those are 24.
Same as the proposed ones.
The other thing, if it's worth mentioning, we're still almost 300 square feet under the state regulations for a Chapter 91 with the double dock.
This side here is how far from your property line?
27 feet. It's,
Feet?
yeah,
Okay.
25 is required.
And between the two docks is how?
11.
11, so that,
All right. It's on there.
if you got 6, and you got 10, and then you got some in between.
11 feet in the middle, between the two.
Oh, between the two, so
Yeah.
it's 6.
The pontoon boat fits nicely in there.
It's basically the same footprint that we've done 2 of those already on the lake.
The selectmen are going to be ruling on this, or they're going to have
They're not
this in
ruling
front.
on this at all. This is not before them. This particular
Why is-
project is not
yeah.
before them, because they don't.
No, not this, no, but I'm saying the
It's
the
still just a
proposal.
discussion. They're not even review, there's no proposal for a change to their requirements or regulations. It's just a discussion. If they wanna get
And you're
into
hearing
changing
this
it-
through Robin.
No, I've been watching the select board meeting.
You've been watching, have you talked to any selectmen on it?
No. I watch the public meetings.
I don't feel comfortable in ruling on this, although I think this is an improvement, and I would rule on it to the positive, but without involving the selectmen.
But that's what we were told the first time.
I know, I
Here
agree.
we are.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem as if there's anything coming soon.
My personal opinion is that, the reality is if you just replace that with 2 rolling docks, then we really wouldn't have any say over that. And and they're right. I mean, the scraping
Yeah,
that
no, I agree.
happens with coming in and out this is less overall impact, and it's kind of unfair. Like, my preference would be to have the select board weigh in on this so we could be clear. They haven't done it. This seems to me as a dramatic improvement in the future to what is sitting there right now at this moment, and it seems like Lauren, it validates so I can be even more comfortable with that.
There's a lot of improvement that is happening to this site as part of this project, including the increased green space. So this area here that's increasing, bouldering off some of that sand beach, which, I've made my opinion on sand beaches, and it's going to slow back some of that erosion that is always inevitable with them. Adding that landscaping and the greenery.
And, you know me and precedent, I don't have an issue if the select board comes back and they give us guidance in changing based on what the select board can, in case something similar to this comes in the future. I just think it's unfair to the applicant to continue to delay because of my preference being, I would like the select board to, we've given them the option for months to weigh in this. It hasn't moved. That's their prerogative and their judgment, but I think at this point, if this project is an overall net improvement, of the existing conditions, and we can allow the applicant, who's been very patient, to move forward with their project on something that's net going to improve Big Alum, I'd be hard pressed to say no.
I appreciate your comments.
The other thing so not this drawdown, but the next year's drawdown is the big one. So it's the water's down a longer period of time, further out. If the selectmen chat about it, I think laws have to be made. If something has to be written, I mean, that could take them, they might talk about it next week, but it could take a year before there's some
They
kind of.
change the bylaw. If they need to make changes to their bylaw, then that would be going at the annual town meeting, if it's prepared in time. Annual town meeting, which is going to be happening the end of April next year, and then the town then has to vote in favor of it.
Yeah, which
So there's
means
still
that
several
we won't even be able to
variables.
get a Chapter 91 license by.
And there is that possibility too, and we do have it under the standard conditions that if any changes happen to the plan, that they have to come back. But there is that possibility too, that if Chapter 91, when they're reviewing their license, they might require a change, which then has them come back, because it still has to meet their requirements, which it meets all of their requirements, but.
Does two
if they
docks
have
meet
that
their
time-
requirement?
Yes.
Does.
I had heard some back and forth on if they allow one or two, and when I spoke with Waterways Division, they've said that it's at their discretion depending on the total square footage, that there have been cases where they've only allowed one because it was a much larger dock, even if it did not meet the 600.
How far back do you have to excavate?
We're not going to break the plane of where the dock is now. So, you know, the deck, excuse me. So
the deck is.
It comes back 11 feet, I believe.
Does it come back 11 feet?
And, you know, in the new design, the boulders are going to go continuous from the right side to the left side. So the beams will pass through the boulders, but like in the past, we've had the concrete right up to the water. We're setting it back further so that there's no, you know, trying to keep a continuous flow with the boulders.
And I think we've done what you've asked at the last meeting to comply with what the requests were.
What did you do?
Change the size of the docks, modify the sandy beach, put in some additional plantings and boulders, removing the concrete by the sandy beach. Significant changes.
And you're okay with the
Not cheap
agent's-
changes either.
No, I'm sure. And you're okay with the agent's request for a shade tree to be put
For a
in
trade tree, if that's on the order of conditions, I will comply with that.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Don't have
The
to like
audience?
it, but I think it's better. So.
Anybody in the audience like to speak to this? Joe, you just reading your book there? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second. Floor, you cannot vote on this.
That's what I was saying. I just say the same thing. I was like looking at my notes, like I don't remember this.
Yeah, this predates your time.
You make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
And I vote against it. It fails.
2-1?
Yeah. I'm just gonna tell you, I want to hear from the selectmen. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, I need to ask a question then, as a practical matter.
Procedural?
Procedural matter, is Roy able to vote on this
Next time.
next time?
I would vote on
Huh?
it. If the selectmen couldn't, I would vote for it if the selectmen don't.
Floor would always not be able to, but the four others would.
Roy isn't here now.
Although I have
So
to check
we
and
have-
see if Roy ever missed a
we do-
second
we
one.
have-
If he did, then he isn't eligible to.
We have quorum of 3, right?
Yeah, but we still need a majority of the
We need
board.
3 people to
We need
vote.
three
At this
three
moment, all
affirmative.
3 of you have to vote in favor
Okay.
on
So,
everything. So
okay.
if Ed does not vote to close the hearing, then the hearing.
All right, so, hearing that discussion,
October 3rd.
would you prefer to have a continuance until the 3rd of October, when we can have more representation on the board to vote?
And the reasoning is, because we want more information from selectmen, which we hear there is not more information
No, the
coming.
reason is because you need all three people sitting there right there to vote, and if next meeting you have 4 people, you need 3 people to vote.
Might have a better chance to get it through.
Yep. So if you if they close it, and I don't vote for it, then it's
It's a
It's a
no.
whole new
It's a no, and you don't want to know.
So if you wait one more meeting, you could get,
Okay, but so then is the select, are you gonna hear what you need to from this, say we're back to 3 again?
I was told that it's going before them on Monday,
They're just
Tuesday.
discussing, it's just a discussion, they're not proposing any policy change or anything like that at this time. The several discussions that they've been having are just about their current purview as harbor master, which is temporary docks. They were talking about possibly changing who the harbor master is and having it be police instead of select board, but as far as, there has not been any discussion on permanent docks, which is what started the whole discussion.
But you sent them, when did you send them that 28-page document?
Last month, because I was supposed to be on the agenda
So they have
for
that.
August. I was supposed to be on the, I don't know what gets sent and when,
The
but
other option would be-
their last,
The selectmen all have it.
But do we have
I don't know if it was already sent to them. I sent it to,
You didn't send it to the selectmen?
not directly to them, no. I send their, it would have been in their packets, so I send that to Michelle. Michelle puts their packets together. I don't know if Michelle put the packets together before that meeting had gotten canceled.
Do we have a proposal for how they should change though?
No.
But I mean, realistically speaking, it won't happen before next year.
Right. And
either way, you're gonna have a
If there is
fourth
any
vote.
change, the change would not
You're
happen
gonna
before
have
the
a
end of
fourth
this year.
person
if these
to
were
vote.
rollout docks.
But also-
The changes and everything.
They don't need to.
But I'd like to add to
They
this
may
too,
just
though,
vote
that
on it.
Great.
So,
if the select board changes the
Ed says no, when the other 3 say yes, you.
So if
yeah.
it goes
How do
into
they know
April,
that-
this will not be affected by that because this hearing opened prior to the bylaw
You don't-
change.
you don't wanna do
So
that, yeah, you
for
do.
that
No, I
to,
don't, but
even if, but all, because there's a number of factors. The bylaw would have to change. It has to go to town meeting, so the people would have to vote in favor of a change, but any change to the bylaw would not affect this project because this hearing opened prior to any bylaw change. So whatever happened, it would not affect this unless they.
The bylaw would,
Reapplied under the new.
bylaw would not have to change to stop this project if it wanted to.
Currently, under the bylaw,
Yeah,
the
we have
harbor
a-
master has no say in.
We have a
permanent docks, so they have
no-touch
to change it.
25-foot.
I'm just saying for you, yes. If you
So
denied a
therefore, that-
waiver
and that's
for
what
the
we're talking
25.
about here.
But so the question is, do you want,
So you
okay,
want-
so it has nothing to do with the Board of Selectmen, the question is whether,
No, it has to do with the Board of Selectmen. How do they want to handle permanent docks?
right, but I mean, so there are 2 issues, right? The permanent docks, and then the second issue is the disturbance, right? So you
So
can.
you want them to weigh in on bank disturbance and on permanent
Yeah,
structures?
on
But
how
the-
they want us to handle it.
But disturbance, they can't, because we can always deny because of disturbance, because they won't change the
Technically,
bylaw.
if you denied the waiver for disturbance within the 25-foot, that denies the project because there is nothing else. So I just want to be clear on what you are requesting, so I make sure that I address it properly, because obviously I have not been here up
I want
until
to get a
this whole
position
time,
from the Selectmen on permanent docks.
which they have no say on. The
You're saying they have no say on it. I'm asking them
the
for,
bylaw says they don't have say on it. The bylaw says they're the harbor master for
the
temporary.
bylaw doesn't say anything about the land at,
The land itself, no, that's under conservation.
so
jurisdiction.
therefore, the Conservation Commission can execute what the selectmen want without a new bylaw until the bylaw. I can just say,
But the Board of Selectmen can't tell us what to do with the 25 zone.
no, they wouldn't. They would say, I don't know what they would say. They have
They don't have authority to tell me what to do with the 25
Right,
zone.
right.
So
Exactly.
then whatever they decide doesn't matter.
we can stand on, I understand, I'm not trying to be argumentative. We can stand on principle, right? And absolutely no disturbance within 25 feet, and force them to put in those rollaway docks. But we also know that 2 times a year, they're gonna be scraping the hell out of the shoreline, creating additional disturbance and additional negative impacts to the land. So I can, walls collapsing, I can put my head on the pillow if a resident comes up to me and, why did you approve that cantilever dock? And know that even though we are allowing something to happen within the 25 foot, it's contained, and the net effect is less. So I'm not worried about, in this case, I'm not worried about precedent. I'm more worried about what is the best outcome for Big Alum, and a roll-in dock versus this, in this case, with all the other improvements, this seems like a far better solution. And waiting until the select board to weigh in on that, I don't know is gonna change that opinion, although I would like to get some clearance there.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
But whether or not, but we have to, I mean, it doesn't sound like they're going to pick that up as a practical matter.
And I don't think we're going to change our position, so go ahead, ask for a closing of the meeting.
Okay.
And I'll reject it. Okay?
Again, I'm not trying to be argumentative.
Well, that's what we're doing, is arguing. What's wrong with arguing?
So the meeting
We're having
doesn't,
discussion, right?
so the meeting doesn't close.
Well, it could if we made a motion, but I would ask the applicant, would you like me to make a motion to close this public hearing, or would you like to request a continuance until October 3rd?
I'm disappointed in the conversation because I think we've complied with what you've requested. I'd like to know the specific reason why, because I'm hearing it's for disturbance, but I also understand there was precedent set with other docks that have gone in, and it feels like a little bit discriminatory to me. And if we want to talk about that conversation, maybe that's a different conversation.
No, there's no conversation there. What has happened, and what we decide now, as far as cantilever docks is concerned, is an individual vote. We have 25-foot no-touch zone for permanent structures around our major ponds.
What would you like to see?
I would like to see...
What would you like to see on the plan? You're talking about another committee to look at things. You're voting on a plan to better the conservation in the lake. And
if you wanted to do what they had for, not for permanent docks, but for temporary, if you met the temporary, we had one come through and it met the temporary, and I approved it.
So you want a temporary dock?
No, I don't want, that's a dual dock system. Temporaries don't allow it. That's in our bylaw.
He has 2 temporaries now.
What?
He has 2 temporaries now.
I know, but they're grandfathered.
What is the ultimate outcome? I'm just, so you can be clear with the applicant, what is your ideal outcome of this project? Do you only want him to have 1 temporary dock or 1 permanent dock?
I want to get clearance on what the selectmen want, how they want to have, if they want everybody to have a patio on the water that comes out on cantilevers, and then it has dual docks going out, X, Y, and Z. This is a reasonable length. It doesn't have to be a reasonable length. The next one won't. How far can they go?
They can go 25% of the way across the water as long as they don't exceed 600 square feet.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there needs to be some discussion. I like the lake.
So do I.
That if everybody gets to boulderize the lake and put
But this
long
isn't going
docks
out a
out.
quarter of the lake. So for this specific project, how will the discussion with select board change this project so that way they can be prepared of what possible changes they might need to make to a plan, if any, because we can't
We
have them come
started
back
the
in
summer
October and
off
then
saying that
say
they were
change
going to
something
do
else.
something, and they haven't done anything. You didn't bring them anything, according to what you said. Robin has, I don't know what she's given them, and you say they're going to discuss it. I'm not willing to go any further. I am, make a motion.
Politically speaking, we gave you a certain hint of how to proceed.
You're clear, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm asking them if they are open to a continuance
They don't.
because, but I am unwilling to close the public hearing. I understand your position, I disagree with it, but that's fine, we don't have to agree with each other.
Well,
So can I just ask if they discuss it and they don't move, are we right back in the same spot?
So why don't you ask for continuance? And
No, we're gonna ask for the continuance, I'm just,
you're
I'm
not right
asking the
back,
next
you're not
step.
right back in the same spot. If they don't answer questions on it, then absolutely, we'll be back here with this and approve it at the next meeting.
Okay, that's fine. I understand that and I appreciate that. We'll push it out to the October 3rd meeting.
With regards to the project at 320, the trail, I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing until October 3rd.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm right back here again. On the next.
See you next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So the next one is the same, right?
No, it isn't the same.
Yeah, it's a single. We've changed it to a single.
It was 2 docks and now it's 1.
Oh, okay.
Let me get to that.
I mean, will we run into the same problem?
All right. What address are you on, Trail?
324.
Okay. I'm on the right spot. 324 The Trail, continued notice of intent, construction of just one, right? Just
Right.
one cantilevered dock,
And it's a same one.
31183 is the, and it's Matthew Kibbe. Okay, Matt, you want to go ahead?
Well, so the obvious changes, we went from 2 down to 1 dock. The counterweight has been slid back a little bit further so that it's got no bearing on the shoreline. The little piece from here, the wall ends here, and right now there's a concrete block right here that the seasonal dock attaches to. We want to remove this concrete block completely, put soil behind it, and then just continue this masonry stacked stone wall to that boulder right there. And then convert this to wetland plantings on the approved list, and then expand the planting on this side of the dock for the same wetland plantings. And then this is the counterweight, which won't be visible. As you can see, the grade goes up in this fashion, and so this will be below ground. It's a minimum of 6 inches here, so the grass that's there will be put back in place. So the earth will look undisturbed when it's completed.
But that's 35 feet long.
35 feet long is the request because of this. It's very, very shallow there.
So how, the shallow one, how long does that go, the shallow?
Do we have pictures, just so because it's been a
aerials?
while since I've been, I apologize. I don't have
I can show you.
just the existing conditions, or do we not have it?
There's no
I know we had
photos
them
saved in
before,
the
but-
folder.
I was gonna say, I might have.
The aerial.
Yeah.
How shallow it is.
Oh, I'm familiar with how shallow, I'm just trying to visualize what the
pictures.
shoreline looks like.
No pictures in the folder? Or we could go to Mass Mapper.
I know it.
You know it, okay. Karsten, do you want to see it?
No.
There you go. Thank you, sir.
So this is now when it's dry.
That's what they brought out.
It won't let you go that close.
I don't have my near map on here. I'll log that in.
That's the
How far
curb,
from
Doc.
is anybody going to ask questions? Because I will.
Well, I'm just, so this picture versus what you're proposing, this isn't gonna have the L at the end of the dock, it's just gonna be a straight dock.
It'll be a straight down.
Okay.
And you have to file Chapter 91.
What's that?
You have to file Chapter 91.
We've already done that. It's in the holding pattern until you guys make your decision.
You didn't hear back on this one from Chapman?
Well, we've done it. It's been filed, it's been in the newspaper, but now we're at the
Their
point.
process requires this approval, so they won't,
Then I
they
pick
don't
up
even
the
finish the
process
review,
with the
yeah.
Chapter 91.
they won't even give comments until they have this. It's basically considered an application requirement, so it's more or less their application is.
So, 6 feet wide,
6 feet wide.
35 feet?
Yeah.
How far from the boundary?
27 feet.
Is it going to go straight out, or is it going to go out at an angle like the one you had out?
He already answered that, it's gonna go straight.
What?
He just answered that, it's gonna go straight.
Oh, did he? No, he answered that the tip. I'm talking about the angle of the dock going out.
It should be the same as it currently is. It's, they were built in 1969. I'd like to just reproduce that.
So it cants across your property, I mean, across the front of your property. It doesn't go straight out. Bring the picture back up. So that is not going to go straight out.
It's straight out from the way
Kinda
the
looks straight.
shoreline is.
Is it?
Yeah, it's straight from the shore, Ed.
All right.
It's square with the shoreline, we'll put it that way.
The picture just makes it look crooked.
Yeah.
So I did have a question though, I mean, it would be nice to have the Board of Selectmen at least give us a limit in terms of lengths. Because, I mean, so you
They
do...
have lengths for temporary dock.
But it's...
DEP, Chapter 91 has theirs for permanent docks.
So what is the length? What's the...
25% of the lake if it's under
600
and under
square feet.
600 square feet. So
25%.
if you have a 1 foot wide dock, you can go out
60.
So you can have a 600
It's a-
square foot, 1 foot wide dock.
600 feet.
It's a crazy regulation.
25% of the, if it's 1,000 feet,
But it-
you can
it's
go
the two, it's so-
250 feet out.
I think you could go 100 feet, right, on a 6 foot
That's
dock.
their law, so.
See, this is...
That's a crazy...
Yeah.
It's supposed to be designed based off the circumstances, and you know, some people are going to have more shore to where it has to go out further to be able to put their boat where it doesn't bottom out. So it's intended to be flexible with the site circumstance, but that's why they have the 600 square foot.
And that's why we need this to go out 35 feet, because it's so shallow.
Yeah, you can kind of see
But
the,
it's 35 feet, but as a practical matter, it's what, 27 from the, right? Because doesn't that go back a little bit?
no, it's from the shoreline out. I mean, you can see the soil there, how
I assume there would be some...
it shows you that it's not very deep there for the first 10 or 12 feet.
There's some
So
technical
it's 27
problems
from
in
the
terms of
wall that's
the
underneath it?
cantilever.
It's 35
from the
No,
wall.
no, it
Right.
has to be
Oh,
a
okay.
certain.
All right.
You can see the
volume
tan
to be
above the
able to
red
put
line.
Just the
Yep.
engineering.
It's
aspects of
almost,
it.
you know,
Yeah, right.
over a third of the way out. It's a foot deep.
No, I see it, and I remember it being shallow in the picture, certainly.
So
triggered-
practically speaking, how long are the docks on this lake?
They're in that range, 29 to 32. I think this is acceptable.
Tell me just...
What about footing? That's the dock have?
There is no footing for cantilevers, so the purpose of the counterweight is to kind of balance it out. That's why it's considered a semi-permanent dock, but it's permanently fixed because of the concrete, but there's no permanent fixture
Even
in
at
the
the
water.
distance.
Right, which is why more and more people are going with cantilevers, because you don't have to put a permanent structure in the water that you then have to adjust every year because of freezing temperatures, and then you also don't have to take a temporary dock and wheel it in and out. So that's why more and more people are converting to the cantilever for ongoing maintenance and practicality purposes.
We have a bylaw that says no new structures within 25 feet.
Yeah.
And so these coming in will all violate that. So I don't have any problem with this one.
I have no other questions. So,
And you...
What?
You will plant this tree? shaded.
The same condition that I put in the other one, that
Yeah,
I'm putting
yeah,
one tree
yeah.
over there.
That being said, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on DEP file number 300-1183.
Second.
Any discussion? Joe, you still reading that book? Okay. All right. All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 324 The Trail, DEP file number 300-1183, I'd like to make a motion to issue a waiver that, which is required for disturbance within 25 foot of the no disturbance zone.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project at 324 The Trail, DEP file number 300-1183, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with all the conditions laid out in the agent's public detailed agenda. And was the tree that we just discussed, was that included in the agenda notes?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'll stop my motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to
No,
the
one more.
project at 324 The Trail, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the additional, with the conditions that we've already agreed to and the additional condition of a security bond or deposit of cash in the amount of $5,000 that to be provided before the start of the work and released upon a successful certificate of compliance.
Second.
David?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Mr. Kibbe, do you have a son, Brandon?
Brian.
Brent? What?
No, not Brent, Brian.
Oh, okay, yeah. He's with the state?
He works in dispatch for police department in Wilbraham.
Oh, okay, different
person.
Okay.
No, you're up.
Am I?
I think so.
No, wait.
Joe, did you just get back from Dover last month? Is that when you got all your gear?
I didn't go down there, no.
No, you didn't? Oh, okay.
On new fish yet, only
Maybe
5 years
tomorrow,
old.
maybe next week. I
What?
don't-
But, well, no, the Dover one was last month. Dover,
I
Delaware.
mean, yeah, I'm not,
Come on, Joe,
No?
go up to the
Okay,
table.
all right.
Sorry, we were talking fish.
I know, but it's 8 o'clock.
You ever been to a fish festival?
17,
It's fantastic.
17. Keep it going.
it's a tree.
Tree, isn't it pretty?
This tree.
Why do you want to cut it?
He
What's that?
doesn't.
Why do you want to cut this tree?
Have you read what I wrote?
No, just remind me.
Okay, well, there's a report, I wrote a narrative explaining the risk of this tree. And this has been going on since May. I've made myself available for site visits. Have you been out to the site?
No, I couldn't make it.
Okay. So I was here to support the client and respond to any questions you may have. It's very difficult to explain this without you being there. And the picture's not representative of what I'm going to talk about or what I wrote about, so I don't know how you can vote on it without looking at it, to be honest with you, so I don't know where to go with that.
You couldn't just tell me. I mean, a couple of
I went
sentences.
out, I looked at it.
Okay.
You can talk to me.
Right, but you're only one member of the board, and there's not enough here that have been out there to vote on it then.
This tree looks...
Two people have seen it, and if you just need a vote of 3.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, it's a high, the tree's 9 feet from the water. It's currently overtopping a high-use area. You can see right to the left of that picture, the railing on a dock. It's not a dock, it's a sitting area. It's a patio, it's a wooden patio. This tree overtops that patio. The tree branches extend out from the tree a great distance because it's been open grown. It's susceptible to breakage that way. It's just it's a risk of breakage the homeowner's not willing to accept.
But it's a healthy tree.
It's a healthy tree.
You could cut some branches.
You can't prune it. If you were out there, I could explain that easier. It's been overgrown and open grown for so long that if you prune the hazard away, that overtops the area of high use, you'd have to go up, the tree would be unsightly. You'd have to go all the way up to the top of the tree. You can't prune the hazard away from the tree. So that's something you can't see here.
For the record, I'd also like to state that I did receive a call from one of the abutters today who shares a dock with the
Yeah, this
homeowner.
was something new that added to the mix.
And yeah, so this resident allows this neighbor to use his dock, and he just wanted to express his concern that he's worried that a branch is going to fall on his boat. So I just, for the record, we did have one abutter that had made a comment.
So, I mean, this is, there's 8 trees in question, it's not just one, right?
No, this is the one tree.
the only one holding
This is
up
the
on
one
this.
tree.
This is the one that's the concerning thing, you know. What are we going, you know, what can you tell me, Joe? Because I've been there, I've looked up at it, I can see what you're talking about, but I also understand as a practical matter, people aren't sitting out there in the middle of a windstorm, in the middle of, in downpours with snow coming down on those branches, and I have incredible amounts of empathy about safety. I can't square in my head, right, that the weather would be bad enough that somebody's going to be sitting underneath that could potentially cause the issue. But let's take that out for a second, and let's talk about the wetland and the protection of the wetland. That tree comes out. As a practical matter, Joe, what's going to go in that's going to provide the lake over time, right? Doesn't have to happen tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not going to be asking for a replacement that's as high, but what are we going to do as a practical matter that over time we can protect that resource area in a similar fashion that what is sitting there right now? Because otherwise, we're taking a perfectly healthy tree that might be there for 35 years, and we're removing canopy and shading from the water. If you're telling me that we can replace it with something that's going to provide that for 80 years, then I'm willing to listen, right? But the just pulling it out, right, is not, it's kind of a non-starter for me. But if we can improve the conditions, I'm willing to listen. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, and I think you have to understand as a board member, there's more to look at than just the concerns that you're looking at, the wetland concerns.
I try to balance all these things, Joe.
Right.
And that's why I'm asking for both.
That's
I'm
what's
trying to balance.
problematic about risk assessment, and how much risk does the board, you're determining the amount of risk the person that owns the tree is willing to accept. And that's problematic in a legal aspect, especially if something happens and you were denied permission to take it down because of a wetland issue, rather than a safety and a risk issue. But there's nothing that's going to replace that tree to address your concerns for shading. It's on the east side of the lake, so it's only shading morning sun. The tree is 70 feet tall. There's nothing that's going to replace that in a suitable amount of time frame.
Okay.
That's going to satisfy that requirement.
But could you think about, I mean, you just want to take it down and no replacement?
You could put a tree there.
Or two.
There's 3 other similar sized white pine trees just off to the side of this. You can't see them.
Joe, do you think people do vista pruning?
I believe they do. I've heard of that term. That's not what this is going on here.
I look at that tree. I've got.
That's not the same tree, that's the other one. That's
That's
just the
the
ones that are
leaf.
being trimmed by the house.
Oh,
but
okay.
just-
See, that's one of the leaf trees that's within, 15, 20 feet of the one we're taking down.
Come back again.
You can see the branches on this tree is similar to the one that we're trying to take down and how far they extend out.
That's the one I looked at, right?
Yeah.
That's the bent one.
That's the one you're trying to cut down.
Correct.
Okay. All right. We can make this short because I don't. Are you going to vote to cut this tree down?
I want to hear something, and
How long do you want to hear it for?
No, I was going to ask Lauren, is there something that we can do to provide this resident an accommodation that's going to provide us some protection to the wetland? Or are we truly at this Mexican standoff of either we just leave it there in place and we're gonna have somebody complaining that we don't care about safety, or we allow it to cut down and then we're gonna have an equal number of people complaining that we don't care about the wetlands? Is there an accommodation from your professional standpoint that we can make, or is it literally just that binary choice?
Well, the other option would be try trimming it, see what happens, and then.
Well, the issue with
But is
that,
that gonna have
the
a
issue
bigger
with,
impact
there's a
than that's
logistic
gonna be-
issue with that, and there's this tree that needs to be removed, and there's the other tree that needs to be removed. This tree requires an entirely different piece of equipment to remove it than the other tree. So if he wasn't allowed to take this tree down, he can't, in effect, I would not recommend you prune a tree for sure, certain, that's for sure. But the problem is he can't, it's a logistic thing. He can't reach that tree unless he has a large enough crane. He's willing to, you can put one replacement tree in there. There's I don't know what else, there's no room out there for it. I mean, there are cases you must realize where you have this 2-to-1 rule that you don't have to do it, right? I mean, you don't have to. So in this case, in my opinion, there's room for maybe one tree there.
It's got a pretty good sized yard.
That's why I wish you guys would be available for site visits. I mean, that's why we could do this out there and get all these questions answered and point at stuff.
Yeah.
But here you can't do it. And we started this in May. We didn't make the June meeting. So then we said, we'll wait, give the commissioners the opportunity to go out in July.
Yeah.
The July meeting happened. It wasn't voted on because some of the members didn't make it out there. So and it's like, and then I was told that the owner wasn't present at the last meeting. So I don't know what the owner is going to offer you guys besides emotionalism. I'm the one who was assigned to observe and document the level of risk of the tree. I'm qualified to do that. I'm the only person here qualified to do that. So I mean,
May I say something? As the Conservation Commission, our role is to take care of the status and health of the wetlands. So that's our view in this perspective. And I completely understand what you say about safety. It's not that we are not concerned about the safety, but we are here as members of these commissions because of the wetlands. So I agree with what Eric was saying, that removing that tree is going to cause an impact on the wetland. And in the Wetland Protection Act, that is what we are trying to implement here, says that the activities surrounding the wetlands should not cause a negative impact on them. So what Eric is saying is like, well, if this is removed, what can go in place so that the wetland resource is not affected? Could something go in there? And it doesn't have to be like in 1 year or like 2 years or 5 years. It's in long term, because these wetlands are for not only for us, for future generations as well.
That's what I'm asking for help, Joe.
yeah,
Right? Your professional.
We could plant a tree there. I don't see room.
Give a suggestion. Give them a
A
suggestion.
white pine tree, a sugar maple tree. A sugar maple tree would be beautiful.
Could we have our tree warden look at this tree?
I'm the tree warden. I'm the deputy tree warden. Yeah. So the tree warden is not.
Tree warden's not supposed to go on private trees.
Right.
Town trees.
He can give a professional recommendation.
He can't,
on to
I
make
know, but he's not qualified to do that.
No.
All right, we're gonna have to move this along,
He's not qualified to
guys.
do that, but it's okay.
Do you want to act, do you want to
Yeah,
table
we could-
this and more people go out and see it?
Great, that's a
What do you
good
wanna
idea.
Oh, God.
Okay, so there are branches that hang over, they may or may not fall at one point.
Every tree out there is at risk of failure, right?
But this seems to be a pretty healthy tree, so there's
But risk can't be associated with health. A healthy tree is not risk-free any more than a dead tree is risky. You don't understand the nature of the language.
But it's less risk.
Less risk.
Okay, so it's less risk, and driving a car is also very risky, but we do still drive a car.
You have a speed limit, correct.
Okay, so there's some risk involved that if you go outside, lightning might strike you.
Correct.
And you have this dog, and it might be the case that there's a certain risk that the tree will fall, yes. But, so the question is, you have to weigh the risk and the bylaws. And so the question is, if it's a healthy tree, there seems to be less risk. And
Well,
so,
you can't correlate that.
No, but all the other-
It's not, you can't relate health with risk.
Either table it or approve it or deny it, but
Right.
let's go somewhere with this instead of this.
Yeah, yeah, we're absolutely in
getting
this world. I would say, probably what we should do is table it and try to, Flora, do you think, but in the next 3 weeks, you could get out there and take a look at it? Karsten, do you think you could get in the next week?
I make myself available to be out there. If you guys let me know.
All right, that's reasonable.
Good.
What I would like, Joe, is
Replacement plan.
I want a replacement plan,
Okay.
right? And this is just me, but I the reality is, I want to protect that lake for the next 1,000 years, not just the next 20. That tree's going to die and fall into that lake in the next 20, and we're not going to have any jurisdiction over it once it falls in on its own. So if you can provide us or me a narrative that says we can replace this and it's going to be good for 80 as opposed to 20, and we can give ourselves an extra 60 years, that's probably a story that I'm willing to listen to.
Okay.
Right?
No. All right?
All right.
All right. So,
Right. In the meantime, Flora and Karsten, look at your schedules, let me know when you might possibly be able to go. I'll set you up with Joe and you guys can coordinate that and look that out. Joe, in the meantime, come up with a replanting plan.
Okay, that sounds like.
Fair enough?
Yes. Okay.
all right.
Well, the last one?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There's still a lot more, you're
Oh,
just the last
jeez.
person we talked to.
All right.
It's short though, the rest, I think.
Knock on wood.
Okay.
We're at 338, the trail.
Can't do anything with
338
it.
the trail, this is, we're going immediately to a request for a withdraw. This would have been on the agenda as a notice of intent, but, simply put, the project does not comply with the wetland protection, with the, river protection under the Wetland Protection Act, and there's no way to make it comply, so they'll be reapplying under the Sturbridge bylaw, not under the Wetland Protection Act, so rather than having the applicant spend money on a butter notification and legal ads that she's gonna have to do for that, my recommendation was just to move straight to request a withdraw of the notice of intent with the issue file number.
All right.
Approval.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1208, I'd like to make a motion to accept the withdrawal petition from the applicant.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Sancho in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Edgar in favor. 30 River Road request for an extension of the order of conditions.
So this was a order of conditions that was issued back in 2018 for a treatment at the pond of the RV park. It was granted a 5-year order of conditions, and with permit tolling that now expires this coming October, and just side note, we're done with permit pulling. Those timelines gone up except for some of these random things that are 5 years. But so requesting an extension on the treatment. There's been some years they've done treatment, some years they haven't, but either way, they're supposed to be providing end-of-year reports and monitoring reports. I have the list of the chemicals that they were currently approved for on the detailed agenda. As part of the conditions, they're supposed to be providing a pre-survey report that's submitted for review prior to any treatment. From everything that I can tell, that was not being done. It was just the report and then moving on with the treatment. So my recommendation is to approve a 1-year extension to be that will be required to comply with all of the conditions as they were, including the pre-survey report. They would provide the pre-survey report before any future treatment for this commission to look at, review, and then authorize either further treatment or not, as already listed in the conditions. And then upon the 1-year expiration, it would give the commission a more accurate assessment of the current conditions, because also, as we know, the use of that area has increased, so we can perhaps assume that some existing conditions might be different than what was initially provided back in.
I'm concerned about the products that they are using. This was approved in 2018. Since that time, there is a lot of evidence that glyphosate causes breast cancer. And fluoridone and Diquat, I don't know how you pronounce those. Those affect fish, like the larvae stage, or like the baby stage of the fishes. So I'm concerned about the products that they are using or that they were approved at that time. And do we have access to the original thing, or is
all the reports? I can send them over.
Yeah, in terms of the, I don't know.
Can I make just a suggestion? I think we don't approve the extension and let them reapply. Because
yeah, I think they should
the time that it would require them to reapply, they would miss
on
out on what, I guess.
You didn't do any
miss
work
out
on
on
it.
what?
Like their application process would inhibit them from being able to treat for a time.
That's
There would
okay.
be a time of
But I
nothing.
mean, if, first of all,
Well,
if
they can't treat right now anyway, because any plans have to be approved by this commission.
and if those kind of chemicals are bad, I think we, because it was approved, right? Can they actually use them legally?
No, they are used. It's like the Roundup, but it's a matter of the timing where they're using it, the half-life, the
Diquat,
where is it going?
glyphosate, and fluoridone are 3 that I have seen most commonly. I don't really see the algicides anymore, and I believe that even on that the proposal for the other open notice of intent that we're looking at has proposed those 3. I don't recall seeing the algicides. They might have used a different. I'll have to go back, and it's just off the top of my head. I'll have to go back and look, but.
Yeah, if we just approved it for another project, we probably should.
Yeah.
Be somewhat
You haven't
consistent.
approved that one yet. That one's pending. I'm
All right,
just saying,
all right.
as far as
That's pending,
consistent, that we're looking at those chemicals.
But I'm a little worried about they don't do anything and then they want an extension. And then they say, oh, if you don't allow us the extension, we can't do anything. But we didn't do anything, so why should we approve it?
Yes, like for me, like something that was approved in 2018 is so
I think
long
we have,
ago.
think
that
we have a
it's-
consensus here,
Okay.
right?
Then they
Yeah, but
reapply.
what are we gonna direct them
So if
to?
if you're recommending, if
Reapply.
your motion is going to be to deny the request for the extension, then they'll reapply under a new notice of intent.
It's good to me.
Now, how do we close this out? As a
They-
practical matter with all of these outstanding open items.
They'd also need to get a certificate of compliance for
Right.
the original work.
So we should communicate, we should communicate to them that any new notice of intent needs to come with a certificate of compliance
Request.
and all the.
That needs to be closed out before approval of anything.
Right.
And I believe that they have another open order for a project that was submitted around the same time, but
It's
not same site, but not related, and
It was appealed, it was appealed.
that's the one that's in litigation.
I was gonna say, that's the other thing about this project. It's fun.
Yeah.
Artie?
So, are we making a motion?
Yeah, we already did.
I didn't hear it, sorry.
No, well.
No, it was just, it was a discussion on the possible motion.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to deny the extension of, or 3-year extension, certainly. I'd like to make a motion to deny the request for the 3-year extension for the pond treatment plant.
Tell him to reapply.
Second.
I have a second, any discussion? All in favor?
Centerman in favor.
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor.
Ed Goodman in favor.
Okay.
Yeah, if we were to give them 3 years,
Now I-
that would be nine years.
Yeah.
We're
under
at
that
45
same-
Burgess School Road.
45 Burgess School Road, you all had requested that I put together an estimate. The property owned, well, we're the property owner. We'll say violator, but if you think of something kinder, let me know. The violator was not at the last meeting and is unable to attend this meeting and called the office, and I called back, so we're kind of playing phone tag. But my estimate of, just a brief recap this, is opposed to the person doing the planting on town property after the destruction of the private property and then having to rehire a wetland scientist to oversee this project and see this continue to go on. My proposal was to have the applicant pay the town for the damages and the town would do the project. So, that being said, the list of restoration just for the plantings is about $1,200. That does not include the cost of labor or any delivery fees. As far as renting what it's going to cost the town to do the mowing, the clearing, moving the mulch piles, and getting labor out there, you're looking at adding another $2,700 to that total. So,
3,900.
$3,900 would be the estimate provided. The alternative is we could also move forward with a lawsuit under Mass General Law statute that would require that he pays 3 times the amount of the value owned. So
That's, did you?
Right, but we're also
He
going
has
to
to-
be
he
incurring
has to
costs
agree.
associated with that. So I
Right.
would think our first best.
this is going to
thing-
be, in my opinion, this is the better option for everyone, because even then, if he has to hire another wetland scientist, they're not going to go based off of
Right.
Glenn's plan. They're going to want to create their own plan. So
Well, yeah, but is he gonna give us $3,900?
that's what we have to negotiate on. So, if the commission agrees to that amount, then I get a formal proposal that will be prepared by town council that will be presented
Yeah,
to the property
cash
owner.
up front. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's an exchange.
Let's throw in whatever.
We come with a
Find out
suitcase.
what council's gonna charge us for doing this and put it on there.
True.
We're budgeted.
What?
So we're budgeted.
Can we, do we think that we have time to prepare that, get it out, and get a response so we can make a decision by the 3rd? Or do
In a
you think
perfect
it's
world, I'd
more?
like to say yes, but it's also going to depend on
So the
if
24th.
we get a response.
You're
So
not
the
gonna get it,
24th.
yeah.
We'll say, let's just say a response by the 24th. If I can get it on by the 3rd and I can get the person before then as well, I'll put it on the agenda for the 3rd, but we'll just say we're trying to act on this.
Kind of missed
before
the
we-
window anyway, right?
Yeah.
So-
we've missed the window multiple times.
Right, no, but, so we're looking at this for spring.
Right.
So if we push it out until the 24th, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Okay.
Some, like I had mentioned last time, some of those things that are on replanting, like red maple, you wouldn't want to plant in the fall because red maples are starting to go dormant right now,
Right.
so.
Well, then, if you're talking about our current cost of $1,200 and we're talking $3,900, we probably need to build in there purchasing in the spring with any market adjustment in the spring. So why don't we just make it it was either $4,000 or $4,200, I was gonna suggest.
I was gonna say 45.
How about we meet in the middle, 42?
I thought you just gave me 42.
42.
Well, I was gonna go with 4. I was a low side 4, and we'll split it 42.50.
That's for me.
Sounds good.
4250.
Okay.
I mean, I want to be fair, but at the same time, you know that come the spring market, the spring market's going.
Conversation, none of this is gonna happen.
Well, we have to act as if we're being reasonable.
Right, I agree. That's what my wife tells me all the time. Okay.
You want a motion for that, Lauren, or?
Do we need?
No, we don't need a motion.
No, I guess it was just a
It's under an
discussion.
enforcement order, so.
And also, his enforcement order is expired. Should we do we have to do
There's
anything?
no point in doing a new enforcement order.
Or extending, or I don't know.
All right, we're at meeting minutes for July 11th. I have a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from our July 11th meeting.
Do I have a second?
I was there, right? Yeah, July.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
were
second.
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
second.
Okay. Any discussion?
That's when you were gone.
I was home, but I saw the video, so do I vote or?
You were not there?
You can abstain.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Carsten Stuber in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. Laura abstains. Okay. Review and possible action on policy regarding application continuance and abutter notification.
So policy was reviewed to address the concerns. It was recommended that no changes be made similar to what other communities have, and the 2 measurements of time are necessary for lack of activity. To clarify, the no actions taken for 6 months would mean an extended continuations with no new materials provided. So say they were in the middle of a project and say we give them the extension of 4 months out on a meeting date, and then they request right off the back another 2 months, or say they request a 6-month extension, it would require re-advertisement. The other alternative is 4 consecutive meetings that they are on an agenda and just request a continuance with no new information. That can be 6 months depending on our meeting schedule with holidays and the summer break too. So the 2 meeting times were essential for comparison's sake, and that was what is recommended.
All right, I realize I was the one that made a big stink about it. I've made my peace with it. We don't need to make any changes. I don't like it, but I made my peace with it. I'm okay with the language as it was proposed.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it either.
But it's better than what we have now.
We don't have anything.
We have nothing now.
Right. So, and this was a perfect example here with these cantilever docks. This would have required.
There's actually 4 projects that this would apply to right currently.
What, since you guys.
0.
What,
This never happened before until now. The 5 years I've been here.
so.
And was that just because there wasn't an agent for a while?
Oh, I
or-
think it's these particular projects.
You guys have to have one example for us.
I don't.
To put this in.
I don't, except for, you want me to say the projects right now, or would that be inappropriate?
New Boston is one.
263 New Boston Road would it apply to. 274 Big Allen Road it would apply to.
Yeah. Well, we could have shot.
328
yeah.
the trail, 324 the trail it would have applied to.
Yeah.
But other than that, every other project, there's only been 2 other projects in the lifetime of my time here that have been long, and they both had withdrew and reapplied, so it didn't affect them. But
Well, okay, so that, I mean.
But it does, it just for a point of clarification, it is kind of interesting timing. Could we just wait one more meeting to say it? I don't know.
I mean, do we
It would
have
just
to
gonna
act on
apply
this,
now
or
to the
can
one.
we act on this?
It's going to apply to the one project.
Well, so I guess,
No, I mean,
not to extend the
if this
point,
is
but
in,
do we
You can vote on
satisfy?
it and you can post date and effective date.
No,
You can
but
put it in
do
act
we
now, effective
satisfy
January 1st.
the real concern? Because one of the things is, we sometimes have stuff going on for so long, even with active meetings, that the abutters lose sight of. And that's the other concern, like.
Do we say abutters
That's
and
like if-
legal,
If we
not
have it
legal, that's
open
right.
for 6 months, I think we probably should let the abutters know, hey, this is still
We're
going
down
on.
to 1 on the polls.
Well, they also have the ability
We
to.
started out with, we must have had 15
Mhm.
people coming to the meeting. Now we're down to that one lady.
Yeah, right. That's the perfect example.
That's a good example.
You get distracted,
Yeah.
you lose, I think that it's probably the better.
Is the time.
Is the time from when the first meeting was opened.
Mm-hmm.
If it is still open in 6 months, I don't care if we talk about it every meeting. There should be a requirement to let those abutters know. It's just unfair to the abutters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
They have the option to come to every meeting, sure they do, but they're distracted.
Do you want to consider just taking out the section that has all these caveats and saying any open project that's within that time frame? No
Is that an
caveat.
HP by chance? What?
It's a Dell.
It's a Dell. Oh.
She's gonna run down and get it. But I mean, to be more inclusive, we could just say any project that's open for over the 6 month time frame or four meetings or whatever.
So remind me, so this requires additional abutter notification, or does it allow us to close the,
Oh, crap.
close the application?
No, well, I mean, we can close it at any time.
I
We
don't
can
know,
just-
I forgot.
We can vote, but
I know.
it requires additional butter notification.
So what was the policy?
There was no policy.
I'm still in the meeting. I don't know. What?
We're getting to the end. But, like,
So there's an option for you. You don't have to go with A, you can go with B, which it could be
Amanisha?
6 months or whatever she said for any project.
right, any
No
project,
caveats.
that's the thing that has me most concerned is, to Ed's
Shut
point,
up.
there were a half a dozen to a dozen people here for that poll project. And
When
then,
it
and then
opened.
there was another handful of people that showed up at the site visit because that was advertised,
Yeah.
right? And abutters were made aware. It's
mean,
2024 and we all have ADHD.
Well, but the other side of that could also be that the abutter notification does say that you can go to our website, you can call the phone number, you can get yourself, and some of the people, like that woman, she does call and say, so is this coming on? Are you gonna have discussion about it? It is also a little bit on yourself too, to.
Well, I understand that, but, you know, if we have the ability to, you know, I think the whole you have to advertise in the newspaper thing
Yeah, well-
is stupid. That it's not 1945 anymore. My
Nobody-
grandfather is not sitting there reading the paper with his plain donut and his coffee with milk, right? That's just not what's happening.
Sounds good.
But to alert the abutters that, remember this thing 6 months ago we let you know was going on? It's still going on. I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Okay.
You
The
know,
intention of it is those projects that just go ghost silent. And when you have abutters that are concerned and they come in and we say, hey, this is gonna get continued, and they get tired of coming to meeting again and again and again when nothing is happening. Then it just kind of goes silent for a while. And then
Well, we
now
were
they
discussing,
need to re-advertise.
while you were gone, we were just discussing the possibility of just eliminating caveats and saying any project that's 6 months or along, you can
By the way,
re-notify.
what did the
But
policy?
then that becomes in the line of unreasonable if they're providing more information, because that can easily get pinpointed on, well, on the opposite argument is, well, you asked for this, commission. I gave this to you. Now, this meeting, you're asking for something else. So then at that point, we are possibly causing the burden. If they go silent for 6 months, that's their burden. If every material they come to, we ask something new.
So the policy, just remind me,
well, then we need to be more
requires
disciplined.
additional
to either
abutter notification, or can we, can we also
or
close
let it go
the
forward.
application?
We allow somebody to ask for a continuation.
Well, it says,
So what does the
it does
policy
say,
say?
it does say that you can, oh, I have it here. It does say that the other option is you can just close, we have the option to just close it and deny it, which you can have for lack of information. Trying to argue lack of information and
We
an
can do
appeal is
that.
more of a challenge. But this is also just another policy that just has our back that says we are allowed to do this. We can deny you because you just aren't giving us what we have, and our policy supports this. So if you go to appeal our denial, here's our policy that also states that.
Yeah, I think this is better, and that's okay. I just don't think it goes far enough. If I'm a neighbor, if I'm in a butter, and that thing is still going on 6 months later, I have completely lost sight of it. And you could say it's your responsibility, but it's not my project. It's not my life, and it's just going on adjacent to me. And then all of a sudden, there's a project that
happens when
starts
you're gonna be
a
angry.
year later, and then you're angry, and it's like, oh my God, I lost sight of that. But my life continued
So you
on.
wanted to cover even active projects?
Active
any
project every
project.
6 months.
Okay.
I think that's actually, I think that's unreasonable for the applicant. I mean, I agree with Lauren there, but if the process is ongoing and it's not the fault of the applicant that it goes on, then.
Think
in mind
about the
that-
projects that would
No,
happen.
why do
It's
you ask
a big
him to-
commercial project.
But why do you ask him to
Keep
pay
in mind the-
additional fee?
Yeah, keep in mind the
I would
cost
go
of
to law
all
if you
this.
ask me for an additional fee without
What's
me
the
being.
certified letter cost to send
Well,
out?
you can do it certificate of mailing, and it's $1.79 right now plus postage.
Okay,
But,
so
I mean, technically speaking, if you wanted somebody to notify their abutters, in 6 months, your abutters list is no longer valid. You have to technically go to assessors and double check and make sure that those are still the same people that live next
You have to
door.
get a new abutter notification, which
You have
has a fee. The legal ad, which is an.
Oh, no, we didn't say, oh, we said a legal ad too?
no, I don't want a legal ad. That's ridiculous.
We
This is
don't
not
need-
1945. Unless the lawyer says we have to do it, I say we throw that out.
By the way, is it in our
I
purview
mean, a
to
certified
just?
mail is up to $11, to $10, $11.
But, you know, can we find this as an issue and then deal with it? And
You have it as an issue now.
yeah,
Technically, we have a few of them now that have fit
This
this
is
criteria.
this is why I brought it up in the first, because you have projects that have been here
But
since last year.
But
that
I guess
have
I'm
not
playing on
actually
the other
come.
side of it.
For
We do.
agents.
We also have had an extreme changeover. I mean, we had the same staff for 7 years, and then we didn't. So we did. There's been some change. So
well, the New Boston Road one, right?
yeah,
That's still out there, right?
yeah.
So my question is
So what would be the best way to hit that? Which one of these methods would be the?
I mean, it would just fall into this whole policy in general. Nothing has been happened. They've
Yeah.
provided no new materials. It's been continued numerous times, even in this is my 4th or 5th meeting with you all, and that it's not on for this one because it's on for the next one because it has continuance, but nothing has been provided. And at that point, the abutters that got that notice in the first place are just like,
Why don't we cancel it the next meeting?
so you want to deny that one and have that?
Yeah,
that's
deny
your,
it.
I mean, that's your discretion. You're
I
allowed
mean,
to do
that would be,
But you're.
warning, you guys should deny, just give us
I wouldn't recommend a denial. I mean, where this is not a public hearing and we're not gonna go into it. I don't want to get into a specific of a case, but just in the general scope of things, if you're denying a project for lack of material, personally, I like to have a more substantial thing as well, just simply that it doesn't conform with the performance standards or that that you deny the waivers and things too.
Then you're
Not
convoluting
just
this.
that doesn't exist yet.
But you would be convoluting it if
That's a reference. That would be reference to.
yeah.
So here's my question. So, butter notification is a legal requirement by the
State
Wetland Protection Act.
Okay, so that's
And the
legal.
legal ad and the abutter notification. is a-
And can we, so they fulfilled all the requirements of that law, and they applied for it, and they did a butter notification. The case is ongoing. Why should they again? You don't have the legal authority to ask them again, it seems to me,
Well,
for another abutter notification, just because you feel like it, just because you think these poor abutters who just waste their time playing video games and can't keep track of what's going on in their neighborhood. I think we actually can't do that legally. That's my own opinion.
If we can't do it legally, we can't do it legally. I'm just saying from the standpoint of what I
don't care. I mean,
what I would like to, and that's why I said the legal advertisement is ridiculous. That extra fee doesn't make any sense. And so I'm trying to be reasonable with the costs associated here.
So It doesn't sound like we're gonna act on this tonight. Give me direction and tell me what you want me to have questions answered for next time,
We
or
can
if you want to
act
squash
on
this.
this, and we can amend it if everybody's comfortable with this, let's act on it, because I'm comfortable with this. I would just like it to go further. If there are people that don't want to go further, then let's act on this, let's have a policy in place. And then if we want to go further down the road, we can discuss it.
Shall I make a suggestion? Should we have the full board here?
No, I think we would actually have to ask legal counsel whether we are actually allowed to just have,
This was prepared by council.
no, but if you want to have an additional requirement that regardless of whether the case is ongoing or not, we just.
Well, and that's why I'm saying, I will let go of that for right now, just so we can put something on the books.
Right.
And if this becomes something that, there's an application that applies, and I'm like, see guys, maybe and gals, we should pick up again, then fine, this is better than what we have today. So I'm okay with the way that it's written today, and the lawyers have already blessed it.
But here's my question, because the one thing that's unclear about this is the commission may close the hearing and issue an order of condition denying. Okay, may close the hearing.
Right. May or shall.
Okay, in the alternative, meaning if we decide not to close the hearing, is it then automatic that the person has to,
They have to agree to it.
okay, to
So
what?
basically, it comes to the opportunity, okay,
I
you've
don't-
had 6 months or X amount of meetings, you haven't done anything. Here's the options we're presenting you. Either we're going to vote right now, we're gonna close this meeting and we're gonna issue you denial, or you can agree to re-notify your
This
abutters.
is actually not what it says, because we say may close the hearing,
May gives us the legal.
right, but we may not close the hearing.
Right, but that's
Right,
why
so if we-
lawyers write this the way that
So
they,
if we
in legal
may,
speak.
no, but if we may not close the hearing, then if we don't close the hearing, decide not to close the hearing.
Then you grant
It's
the
every
continuation.
contract I've ever written in my
Right,
life
that-
is
right,
littered
but-
with may and shall.
Yeah, perfect.
Could be.
Should.
Okay, it basically says we either have to close the hearing, or the abutter has to, or the person has to pay it, right?
That word may does a lot of
May or
work,
may.
Karsten.
Right,
It does
no,
a
I know,
lot of work.
it seems so,
It gives us the
so my question just
The
is,
May gives you that one little option of, we understand your special circumstance, it's been more than 6 months, we're not gonna ask you to do any of these things.
If it said shall,
right, no,
We
that's fine.
must.
So they might not have.
Yeah, if
So
if
pi-
there was an extreme special circumstance, hypothetically speaking, say someone was in hospice care for 6 months and physically unable, on their deathbed and unable to perform, and then all of a sudden they come back and they're alive and they're well again, it is your discretion to say, you know what?
So
Or if I just pick up.
basically what it says, the commission may close the hearing, or it may, as an alternative, ask the person to pay this, or do the abutter notification. Do I understand this right? This is not,
Crazy to think of.
I don't think
I
this
went
is
in
what this
student debt just to
says.
do what you're doing now. I'm trying to make your head spin of trying to figure out legal
No, because-
jargon.
this is-
I'm not an attorney. We have to go, if the blessing of counsel is that
Yeah.
is that
We're
legally
dragging here,
conforms.
guys, we gotta.
Do we
Okay.
want to, after we want to table?
What do you want to do?
Do you want to wait for Roy? Do you want to do this the
Let's wait
next
for
one?
Roy.
Okay.
Roy,
Table
Roy's-
October 3rd.
he's got a concise military
Got it.
in mind. All right,
Can we move on?
we're on to 15.
Well, that was 15.
We're
No,
under
on to
16.
conservation lands,
None.
Nothing to discuss unless you all have anything.
conservation
Ed just
agent
bought
update.
something.
no updates?
Asian update. Did you already say that? Did you move on there? Or are you still on conservation land?
No, I'm ready for an update.
Okay. Select board meeting on Monday at 6 p.m. There's a discussion on docs, also presenting the commission's annual report, which are both in that OneDrive folder. On part of this too. Under meeting documents. Two. First conservation and coffee is going to be next Wednesday. We're going to have a great turnout, so I'm hoping we'll be able to have some updates to report back to you all. But I think it'll be great to kind of get a bunch of people in the same room where there's been historically communication gaps, and being able to hold that on a regular basis should be beneficial to all. Item number 3 that I have.
What's the time for that Wednesday? You know?
10 a.m.
Morning.
Yep. Okay. For the meeting on 10/3, is everyone available to come at 5:30 so we can have another executive session to discuss our favorite junkyard?
September 7th, that was what?
October 3rd.
Yeah.
October 3rd at 5:30 to have an executive session from 5:30 to 6.
I can
And
make it.
hopefully at that point we're reviewing a final agreement from them. 5:30?
Should be okay.
That work?
Oh, wait, yeah, what?
One other item that's going to be on the meeting for the October 3rd is review and approval of the Conservation Department budget. As I mentioned last time, all of our timelines have significantly moved up, and budgets are due October 11th this year, so that will be presented to you. I got to scramble that together in the next few weeks, so that will just be prepared to have that on there. I don't know how involved you all have been in that in the past.
No.
That will come before you. If this commission would like me to move forward with any bylaw changes, I know, Ed, we kind of talked about it, but for an actual timeline, if there is anything that we want to change in our bylaw, I need to get the ball rolling on that now, because the actual warrant article would need to be due and prepared by February 14th, which means that if we are going to change anything in the bylaw, that we need to start having public hearings in like November or December. So I don't know what discussions have been had in the past, if anything, but if there's anything that needs to be done, I need to know now. If not, we'll wait till next year, which I'd kind of hope, so that way I can have 1 year to kind of get situated before we do any bylaw changes.
No, I don't have anything we're gonna
Okay.
change the bylaw. No.
As I mentioned last time, the open space plan is currently being reviewed. Our open space and recreation plan expires in September of this year. Jean's been working hard to update that, and with me coming on board, we're working on transitioning all that over. There is going to be a public forum, waiting for a response back from the Open Space Committee on the date, but we're hoping to get that done mid-November before the holidays. Once I have more information, I'll be able to provide that to you all, but I'm going to request that conservation being such a big part of that plan, that we get you to attend and spread the word to all your friends and neighbors. So be on the lookout for any updates on that from me, which I'll also provide at meetings. The last meeting, I had posted that information on the Young Conservationist of the Year. If anyone had anything that they wish to change on that for the time being, other than that, I would like to get the ball rolling on that with the start of the new school year. I'm already in touch with Tantasqua, and we can kind of see how it goes this first year, and as it goes, if we want to open it up for different age groups and whatnot, that'd be a great opportunity, but I think it's a nice little thing that we can do to kind of give back to our community and hopefully inspire some younger generations to sit where you all are sitting today, because as we know, that's a big struggle.
Ed eventually is going to retire. Eventually. So maybe somebody
I think
at
the only way
Burgess
he's going to
will
retire
take-
is
somebody
that
at Burgess will
you
take his
carry
place.
him out of here in a gurney. I think that's going to be it, but
Did they get it
that's what
good?
would happen.
So I can't do the site visit, is okay.
Okay. That, and what else did I have? We got our new code for the MACC handbook. I don't know if you guys have all had this saved in the past, so I just put it under the conservation reference documents. If you go to MACC handbook access, it's got the link information for the new member orientation. Which, Floor, double check your email, because Suzanne said she sent you something
Yes,
again.
I actually got it. Yes, it was
Awesome.
in a Gmail that has all the different folders.
Even
So
for
it
those
was
of you
on-
that
Isn't that maddening?
I did the course already.
Great. Even those of you that have been on for a long time, it's still a great refresher. But I've got the MACC member benefits on here just as a reminder. And if you want access to the handbook, I have that in here with the login and password. Probably shouldn't have. So you can click in there if you wanted to go on the handbook, which is also a great resource for any refresher items as well. The MACC Fall Conference is coming up in October. They're doing a bunch of fundamental classes, which we
your
pay
place.
for. So if you want to sign up on any of them.
I did some when I started out, I think so.
Oh, it's gonna be at Holy Cross.
Oh,
It's,
I'm
they
being
do a
there
great
every
job.
day. Not every day.
You can go there on the weekend. It'll be a great time.
They're gonna have that in the fall?
Yeah.
Not in the spring?
19th. They do it twice a year. They do a spring one and a fall one. It's on Saturday the 19th this year. They like to do them on Saturdays. I don't know how much, if you guys take advantage of all the MACC resources, but they're there at your disposal to continue your education, to take classes. The free lunch and learns are great. You guys have access to the helpline if you just have general questions or, question in the forum. So utilize that. If you don't know how, reach out to me and I can help get you squared away on that. Also, I'm currently in the process of looking at our tree removal policy and just how that they're handled. We get quite a bit of tree removal requests, which, it's great in theory, but I think that it's getting taken advantage of slightly. We get a lot of applications for the tree removal permits that, there's a space on the form for mitigation of what your proposal is, and people just leave it blank and say, well, what do you want me to do? But, there needs to be some more work and thought in it. And just making it very clear that this is intended for trees that are safety, health risk, wetland risk, and things like that, not just, I don't want this here anymore. And if that's the case, that this is not the permit type for you, you need to go another channel. So that's just something I'm trying to review and tighten in a little bit. Might make a couple people unhappy, but this policy exists for a reason, and we need to kind of tighten it back up a little bit. And
We need
we're
to make
losing
sure
a lot
we're
of trees
careful about
everywhere.
how we go about that, because the reality is most people don't know
Right.
what a proper mitigation would be, and
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want to put an undue burden on somebody who's uneducated
Mm-hmm.
to have to go and do their own work of that. That's kind of why we have the public resource of what is your guidance. If somebody's coming in like, I don't care, whatever you tell me to do, well, that's a different thing. But not knowing and not understanding are different than.
But it's also just carelessly left blank from people that we know have used that form before.
I understand.
But it's also updating
as a constituent service.
Oh, absolutely. But
I
also
wanna make sure
updating the
that we are-
resources that we make available to the public, of having the list easily available of here's some things you might want to look at. Here's, like UMass Amherst is so fantastic at putting out great resources of here's the plant list, here's things that are better if you're shady, if you're dry soil and things like that. And
I get it.
you know.
We all have ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one of us.
Yep.
Myself, probably the worst on this board. So I'm just saying, as a constituent service, we just need to make sure we handle that appropriately. I'm not saying that's not an unreasonable ask.
No,
We
it's
handle
just
it
kind of
appropriately.
a review and providing more resources and making sure the forms are fully complete and used for the right purpose.
I have no ideas about trees. I mean, I agree with Eric, actually, in the sense that...
It finally happened. Can we mark the time?
I agree with Anisha. She told you to get your butt in gear and get home.
And that's a wrap. That's
Site visit schedule.
Katie has surgery. Oh, I'm not gonna say this. I have a conflict on the 23rd that may bleed into the 24th.
Okay, and Carson, you can't go?
Because I dropped off my
Yeah.
son in Chicago.
Let's hope
Oh,
not.
okay.
Let's hope not.
I could do the
Well, I know
Friday
of
then.
like 3 projects. What days would work for people that
I
week?
could do Friday, but
The
that's
Friday before?
the 20th, the Friday before, Friday after,
Well, we have to be long enough before the meeting to
right, so...
be. The meeting is on the 3rd, and the deadline for applications is the 17th, so it has to land somewhere in the middle of that. Preferably 23rd, 24th,
So I could do the
20,
I could do the 20 or 27th. Oh, that's Fridays, but I
I
don't know.
could probably make the 20th work. It would be dicey on the 27th, but I might be able to make that one work as well. So,
how about you, Floor?
20 is good.
The only downside of the
What do you have?
20th is, isn't the application deadline on the 17th?
Yeah.
So then we're telling people as soon as they come in.
Well,
the
I've already
17th.
gotten 3 of the new applications, and Marcy will probably be the 4th, so everybody's kind of aware.
But they'll get them staked out in 2 days.
I'll tell them tomorrow, the people we already know. I mean, the point of the site visit is for them, and if we can't get enough of them, then.
Well, I'm just saying if
We
the
know you
site's
can't
not
get
re-
enough of us.
We also
Oh,
need to
I
make sure
know.
that the site is ready for them too.
27th only gives you,
And that's just for the projects you know. We get a bunch of random things the day of too. So I just want to make sure that it's that we just communicate that if someone's turning an application on Tuesday, we're saying, hey, by the way, site inspections are on Friday, so make sure your property's staked. It's just going to be better. We just need to communicate that on our end with everyone.
it would be great if we could get to the point back to a set day,
Right.
guys, moving forward. But
Because if you have a set day,
then people,
More people show.
expectations, and the expectation for the applicants.
I mean,
More fair.
the
It's like we're on
Tuesday,
Thursday nights.
the Tuesday would work ordinarily, and I might be able to make it on the 24th. I cannot.
Karsten can't either, though, so that's.
Tuesday, Thursday I can't do.
be.
Wednesday
You
normally
just have to
would
do the
work.
best you can, that's all I
Right.
can do.
Yeah.
Wednesday normally
For,
would work.
for us, like, changes every
What's the
semester.
20
You wanna do Wednesday?
I don't know how it's with you, but every
What ab-
semester classes are different. So.
I tend to teach.
What about
Tuesday,
Wednesday the
Thursday.
25th?
Will you still be gone?
Yeah. But that's, I mean,
could we
Where you
get 3
going?
of you there?
I could probably do the 25th.
Chicago.
Oh, you're going,
and I fly back, so.
Karsten will have to go separate, so we
Out
can go
with them?
see that tree
Yeah,
with Joe.
mission I go. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a,
25th.
tradition.
kind of experience, right? You can't just leave your son
All right.
Just
going to college without going, right? You have
So
to
we'll,
wrap
for
that
now,
up.
we'll just stick with
That's
Friday
the
the
last time you
20th.
see them.
Oh, my God.
For this one, it
20th.
shouldn't be a big deal. I would
You have
just
so many kids that you,
be mindful that we close
We
at
actually
noon
know,
on
we- right.
Fridays, so that's pretty much gonna mean.
That's the whole day. That's okay.
That's our whole day, so.
That's okay.
We'll do it the 20th, just if we can try to avoid Fridays in the future.
oh, that's
So that
okay.
way.
In 67 Beach Avenue. Like
67, the tree?
The tree thing.
I can set that up that same day.
What time do you guys kick off your day on Fridays?
8.
Because once JJ's on the bus,
We could start earlier.
I could get here by 8:15.
Yeah, 8 is good.
We still taping?
Yes.
Yeah, because we
This is
didn't
still a
motion to
public meeting.
adjourn.
What?
That was, we're
I'd like
just
to make
talking
a
about this.
You're in the public meeting.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Shall we?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
The switch off the